Most disturbing videos and creepy theories of 2024 coming right at you. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. These videos are strictly for entertainment purposes only.
So, little known fact, Eleven from Stranger Things was based solely off one person. Her name is Nina. She's a badass. I'll show a video that American researchers smuggled out of Russia of her just moving stuff with her mind. It's pretty unreal. Now, Nina joined the army at 14 and was driving tanks around for Russia, but later in her life figured out she could move stuff with her mind. She claims she got it from her mom. Now, this sent America for a trip and was the birthplace of one of my favorite CIA documents, Research in Human Paranormal Capabilities. Now, you would think with something like this, the CIA is going to look at it and go, that's absolutely crazy. They found it remarkably accurate. Now, these abilities some people seem to have are not just confined to moving things with your mind. Some people can see things when they're not there. Now, where it gets crazy is the CIA found out that Russia had very accurate plans and descriptions of their nuclear sites, military bases, CIA black sites, all kinds of crazy things. And when they looked into how the Soviets got this info, they got it from psychics. And that was the birthplace of remote viewing, seeing things when you're not there. America started researching it heavily. They even brought in just normal psychologists to try to get some hold on what was going on. What did the psychologists say? It's remarkably accurate. It's an evidence of a telepathical mental process that's not yet understood. And this lady Nina, the 11 from Stranger Things, they started testing her, not just with their eyes. They didn't just watch her move stuff. They hooked her up to machines, did all kinds of extensive things. And they found out that when she did these demonstrations of her abilities, everything in her body process sped up like crazy. Her heartbeat, brain activity, electromagnetic fields around her started pulsating in rhythm. I mean, her pulse went up to 240 beats per minute when she did this. The video covers all of it. I'll show you in just a second. But as America caught on to this, they thought there was really something to it. They had their own Americans doing this kind of thing too. And they started scouring historical records to see if this is a new thing with humans, or some of them have it, or if it's an innate ability that everybody has. And again, this is relevant because it's in the CIA file. They took this with weight, but in scouring history, they found a king that thought oracles were just full of it, just total BS. So he found 7 oracles and said, I want you guys to tell me exactly what I'm doing on this date and time, and then he left. Upon doing his weird task and returning, 6 of the 7 oracles were wrong, but one of them was right, and it's crazy because this is not something you could guess. The oracle told him exactly what he did. He cut up a tortoise and a lamb into pieces, put them in a brazen cauldron, and boiled them with a brass lid on top. That is exactly what the man was doing. And this was in 550 BC. That's the first case of remote viewing that's ever been seen. And of course, he used it to fight the Persians. Now, here's where the waters are going to get a bit muddy. This info is straight from the Soviets, and this was intercepted by the CIA. So some scientists put Nina, or 11, in a room, a controlled environment, and had her stop and start a frog's heart multiple times, just with her mind, and she was like 10 feet away. Now, yeah, if you take a frog's heart out of its body and suspend it in liquid, of course it's going to stop without, an electrical impulse. But she stopped it and then started it again, and demonstrated this multiple times. It also claims she lost 3 pounds doing this. But I know you came here to watch the video of her doing her stuff, so here you go.
Kinesis, or PK. Ninel Kulagina is a Russian housewife who has this ability. These films of her demonstrating PK were made in a Russian hotel room and smuggled out of the country by American researchers. She gets the object moving with gestures of her hands or by fixating the object with nothing more than her eyes. Kulagina has been studied intensively for more than 10 years by Professor Sergeyev of Leningrad University, who has reported on her work. These films and demonstrations are subjects of unending controversy. Is she a sensitive or a charlatan? According to those present at these demonstrations, it sometimes takes Mrs. Kulagina 2 to 4 hours to rev up her supernormal powers. Her pulse races to 250 beats a minute. She loses up to 3 pounds after a demonstration of psychokinesis.
So, little known...
Psychokinesis? Are you kidding me? I think it was real for entertainment purposes. It took her 2 hours to, really lock in. 250 beats per minute. Man, if you guys see me looking at my watch, I'm timing mine. So it's like I'm always seeing if my heart rate's getting elevated, you know, just that's crazy.
Then the ice starts to go from smooth to starting to break up here.
Like, where aren't we right now? What planet is this? Just take a full picture. I like how that Earth is meeting the glacier. See that interesting shape?
Oh wow, yeah. Then the ice starts to go from smooth to starting to break up here.
Like, where aren't we right now? What planet is this? Just take a full picture. I like how that Earth is meeting the glacier. See that interesting shape?
Oh wow, yeah.
Making?
Just mesmerized. I've never seen terrain like this.
It's so insane, isn't it? How? Because this is right at the edge of it. Pools of water.
That full ice, like cold. I don't even know what
Not like nothing you've ever seen, huh?
nothing like nothing.
It blows away anything we've seen so far.
I'm just like blown away looking up at the walls and the peaks next to us. Oh man, the ice below us is that's like the Grand Canyon of ice.
Yep.
Then the ice starts to go from smooth to
I don't even know where to begin from our last video. Well, a couple videos back when we're going beyond the ice wall. It's just like, I don't even know where to begin.
I think by this point, a lot of us realize that yes, satellites are above our head, and yes, they are being held up by giant helium-filled balloons. NASA even admits this. But I also think there's something else going on up there, and I want to get into it in this video. I want to first give credit where credit is due. My good friend Seven Club in this video started me thinking about this video that I'm going to show you right now. So go give him a follow and especially watch that pinned video. You see, he got me thinking about liquid oxygen. And there's a funny thing about liquid oxygen. It's magnetic.
This is a powerful magnet. If we pour liquid nitrogen between its poles, nothing happens. However, when we pour liquid oxygen between the poles, it is visibly attracted. This indicates that oxygen is magnetic and belongs to the category of paramagnetic substances. If we freeze oxygen into a solid state, it will also be attracted to the magnet like iron.
So with that in mind, let's pretend, just for a minute, that what we're seeing here isn't the Earth rotating, but actually an enclosed system that is rotating around us. And again, let's pretend, just for fun, that the higher you go, the colder things get. And let's pretend that that enclosure above us is so high up that it's cold enough that the oxygen turns either to ice or to liquid. Now let's also pretend, just for a second, that all these SpaceX and NASA rockets that we see supposedly launching satellites into space aren't launching them into space, but maybe just inserting them into that liquid oxygen very high up next to that closed container we're all in. And if liquid oxygen is somehow magnetic, well, we would just need to find some sort of substance or material that would soften the blow and then attract.
It's a strong neodymium magnet, and this is a thick copper plate. Normally, copper is not really very magnetic. It's not really wanting to stick to it, but drop the magnet onto the copper and watch this. I could watch that all day. This is explained by Lenz's law. In the copper, the electrons swirl, and they create their own magnetic field. And the magnetic field of the electrons in the copper opposes the magnetic field that's trying to change them. So the two magnetic fields slow down the magnet.
And then imagine, if you will, that they created a much simpler, easier, cheaper way to shoot things up into the structure that is covering our heads. Again, hypothetical structure. I don't really believe there's a firmament above us. But I guess even if they did manage to shoot these things up into the imaginary dome above our head that just happens to have liquid oxygen right below its surface, they would just sit there. It's not like they would be able to move them around our heads. I mean, for that to happen, there would have to be some sort of, I don't know, like propulsion device or something. But again, this was just all for shits and gigs. I'm a satire account and this was for entertainment. because I know there are thousands upon thousands and thousands of satellites in orbit around the circular spinning globe Earth. Duh. Entertainment only.
This would be a great method for people to use beyond the ice wall. I'm just saying. It'll be a great method of travel. Especially if they're locked in there. They could be locked in for a minute. I'm just saying that could be like a railway to different worlds. Just saying.
I think by this point, a lot of us realize.
What did you invent?
I invented the EHG, or Energy Horizon Gatherer, and it's an energy initiative to collect cosmic energy.
And how would you explain cosmic energy to someone who's never heard of it before?
Well, simply, cosmic energy is the expansion of space that is reverberated out. So space expands, and as it does, it releases cosmic radiation. When this cosmic radiation hits our atmosphere, it transfers into the ionosphere and sends billions of particles of charged ions, raining down on us in quantities of, billions. And so I track them in and pick them up and collect their charge.
Awesome, and use that to make energy that we can use. So where do you see this invention going, and has it been difficult to develop along the way?
Well, first of all, it has, yes. There's a lot of trial and error. It's the scientific process, so there's always failure involved. As far as it goes, though, hopefully by the end of this year, we'll have 2 million homes powered on this energy device in India, and soon after that, whoever else might need it.
That's awesome. And what advice would you give to young inventors out there who might want to give it a go?
Well, first of all, there's no lack of studying. You always need to make sure that you know your facts and your materials as well. And of course, just study nature and the world around you, because there's no other substitute for that either. Just experiment.
Awesome. Stay curious. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Scope.
All right. Happy to be here.
What up, bro? Did you know that there's this hole right here? See that hole? It lines up with Polaris, the North Pole Star, all year. If you look at nighttime through on the other side, that hole goes up, and the North Pole Star is right in the middle, and it happens year round. This is actually proof that the Earth is stationary Earth. And that's why this costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to build, right? This is what they want for the New World Order, of course. But the point is, they know what the Earth is, right? This thing wouldn't work if the Earth was spinning 1,000 miles an hour, shooting 66,000 miles per hour around the sun. It literally wouldn't work. It gets even worse, though, guys. On the side here, it's actually a calendar. So if you see this right here, this is a calendar. So if you look through this, you can track the sun every day throughout the year. There's a certain year where it would be right in the middle on the solstice. It's a calendar. Okay, they buried a time capsule over here. Yep. And it tells you all about the astronomical abilities of it, right? This is some crazy stuff. So, channel through stone indicates celestial pole. That's the little hole that you see the North Star through every day for thousands of years. Horizontal slot indicates annual travel of sun, which is that right there, which is how you get the solstice. Sunbeam through the capstone marks noontime throughout the year. There's a slit in the top. When it's exactly 12 o'clock, the sun will be right in the middle of it. This is because the sky does the same thing and resets every year. This will always be accurate. That's why I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars building it. Or it would be a waste of money, right? It would only be right 1 year or something.
So there you go. The Georgia Guidestones, not only was they basically the New World Order written in stone, there was also a complete astronomical clock. Obviously, there's been a massive rise in people questioning the nature of reality and where they live and how they got here. So they've had to cover the tracks. Obviously, people are exposing Agenda 21 of the United Nations, and obviously what people are calling the New World Order, which is basically exactly what was written on them stones.
The sky is literally purple. The energy.
HAARP can create some of the effects that the sun creates that are similar to the aurora borealis.
HAARP can paint designs in the sky, if you will. It can take the beam and move it in any pattern that the scientist who's doing an experiment might want to do.
Look at that bit. yeah, look at that.
Facility. It's not the only one like it in the world. HAARP has some capabilities that we feel are better than some of the others. You can change the frequencies. You can shift the beam so that you can move it from one part of the ionosphere to another, and it has quite a bit more power than some of the other facilities throughout the world that are doing the same kinds of research.
Because it can be aimed. Picture holding your microwave oven in your hands with the door open. Then you can move it around and send those microwaves different directions. Control of where the power was, I felt that was the best type of antenna to use. And that is the kind that HAARP has built.
Zoom.
They tell you that the sun hurts you, but they don't tell you that the old hospitals used to have sun depths, because the sun detoxifies you by giving you electromagnetic energy. They tell you about the magnetic fields of magnets, but they don't tell you about the magnetic field around your body. Disease shows up in this field before it manifests physically in your body. The sun is electric, the earth is magnetic, and you are electromagnetic. This is why the ancients had grounding shoes to ground to the magnetic earth. Canes were not just for fashion, they were used for conductors of electromagnetic energy to ground the body to the earth. Now we wear sunglasses to block the sun's healing rays to entering our nervous system. We have lost true connection with our true nature, been turned into electrical batteries running through a matrix circuit board. Next stage of the human awakening begins October 8th. This is a revolution of human consciousness. If you don't agree with this video, you are heavily programmed. They tell you that the sun hurts you, but they don't tell you that the old hospitals used to have sun depths.
I do need to sit out in the sun today, man. I've just been feeling like I need to be recharged.
The reason that all your computer screens are blue lit, the reason none of them are red lit, the reason none of them pay attention to circadian biology is because that original technology was developed in a government program that Bobby Kennedy knows about, and I happen to know about because I went to medical school at LSU. For those of you who've never heard about Operation Paperclip, you think it's all conspiracy theory. So at Tulane Neurology and Tulane Neurosurgery in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, the CIA started a program there where they would do all these crazy things to monkeys. And the CIA wanted to see how they could control things utilizing different things like drugs and things like that. Where the neurosurgeons got involved, which is my clade, we would drill the tops of the heads off, put wires into the thalamus, put electricity in there, and kind of see what kind of behavioral changes we could have. One of the guys that was in that program was a guy named Professor Delgado. He got the idea to take it in a bigger animal. When he saw that we could control the behavior with the wired device, he said, what if we do it wirelessly? So he checked it in monkeys and checked it in bulls, and it turned out you can do it wirelessly with RFID chips and semiconductors. And the CIA took it to the next level. They said, well, since this is electromagnetic radiation and they begin on wirelessly, what if we did it through light through screens? And it turns out you can. And that's the reason why all your computer screens have the frequencies they have. So why is this all important?
I wish to ad lib. We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. This, too, might account for the sensation people get of having lived past lives.
There's a law in physics that basically says that when you have energy that is vibrating at a particular frequency, within 17 seconds, other energy like that will be attracted to it. So if I'm having a positive thought or a negative thought, then what happens is that energy is attracted to it. I have other thoughts that are like that thought. So if you do that 17 seconds, for 68 seconds, then momentum begins to occur. Let's say that I'm normally, all of our emotions have a frequency to it. So if I'm in despair or anger or worry, all of those are lower, denser frequencies. You get into things like contentment, happiness, joy, love. Those are higher, faster frequencies. So let's say that I normally live in contentment. And that's my set point, because that's where I live. I think about that all the time. That's what my makeup is, that sort of thing. So I'm driving down the highway. All of a sudden a car cuts me off, and I get angry. So now I'm in the lower, denser frequencies. And so then I go back to the office, and I'm telling all my colleagues, here's what happened, this knucklehead cut me off, go home, tell my wife that. What am I doing? I'm vibrating angry energy. So I go to the supermarket, and there is somebody in line. I have 3 items, and I'm getting in line, and somebody ahead of me has 38 items. And the guy that's running the cash register, it's his first day, and he's not doing very well. He's very slow. Is that a coincidence? No, it's something for me to get angry about. So I'm attracting into my world whatever it is that I'm vibrating. There's a law in physics that basically says...
Damn, that's kind of true. Like, that's why I try to spread positive vibes, man. If I got 38 items in my cart and I see someone's got 3, before I check out, bro, you go ahead of me. The first will be last and the last will be first.
This man right here, if his inventions were taken seriously, the world would be in a completely different place today. Victor Schauberger, born in the 1800s, had a strong fascination with water, forests, and the natural world. Through his years, he postulated that water is self-organizing and actually conscious. He thought that modern-day science was mechanistic and materialistic and didn't take into account energies, frequencies, vibration like Nikola Tesla, and spirituality. One of his inventions was a water structuring device. And if we use these today, we wouldn't have to use chlorine and other strange chemicals they add to the water to clean it. With his invention, it cleans water by structuring it molecularly. He referred to this as living water. He invented water turbines that generated electricity from water without pressure or heat. He also used copper coils to harness water's electrical potential. As it implodes, there's a little electrical current basically that's what he used to harness it. Kind of sounds like free energy. He made implosion motors, engines that ran on water or air power without combustion or explosion. And he also made literal flying saucers, at least according to his studies, science, research, and the things that came out from him. He used electrical coils to ionize air molecules and create a plasma field around the hull of this basically UFO. Unfortunately, he was offered a deal to go to Texas to get a bunch of money to help improve his work and develop his work into being used around the world. And unfortunately, he signed a deceptive contract which signed away his life work to an element of the U.S. military. And he perished shortly after.
Why am I not surprised? If you got some type of serious invention like that, keep it to yourself and give it to the people that need it. Probably why they had the bells back in the day too, to eliminate all those parasites, because they couldn't stand the vibration. Shout out to that Black Goo episode, man. If you guys haven't seen that episode with the aliens being real for entertainment purposes, go watch that video. We went through there on there.
They caught fallen angels on live TV. Okay, I know Florida's in major danger and they're doing the biggest evacuation in like 10 years, but I have to show you this. This is gonna blow your mind and we're going to go down rabbit holes you did not even know existed. So this kid and his dad were watching TV and they're watching right after a missile was shot, I believe around one of the Middle Eastern places we can't speak of. And he said he saw a demon or an angel flying right at the same time. Or like right after it happened. I'm gonna show you that, then I'm gonna slow it down, then we're gonna go from there.
Okay, me and my dad were just sitting here watching Fox News. And I think we just accidentally seen Fox News just showed either angels or demons coming in after a missile.
Specifically fallen angels, but continue. And this was it. But we're going to slow it way the heck down. Now we're going to watch it slow down and enhance. So you can see it's flapping its wings going that way. Let me get out the way. And down at the bottom right, you're going to see it again very clearly flapping its wings like a man. Man-angel. Now, what if I told you that this has been caught before, but many times, and even further, a magazine cover predicted it? This, my friend, is a video of Mothman from, like, Fox or some kind of news. Quite literally a man with wings. You can watch the full video. Very known piece of film. How do I know he's a fallen angel? He has a day of worship once a year, Mothman Day. And he shows up at the signs of natural disasters. Let's get to that magazine I was telling you guys about. Here is The Economist magazine from 2012, Mayan Doomsday. There's so many things we could say about this, but that's not why we're here. By the way, Return of the Wolf, Satan. Anyways, he said the demon or the angel, which is the fallen angel, was seen with a missile. You see it yet? That's right, here they are. pause this and look at the names on the head. Yo, I'll be darned. This right here is insane. Let me know what you think down in the comments.
How he was flapping his arms.
There are a few things that make me stop and take a breath. And that book is one of them. Somebody threw a Hail Mary almost 1,000 years in the future. It's an illuminated manuscript, which means there's gold foil throughout the book to illuminate certain pictures. Very different from almost any other Bible written in the time. But the weirdest thing in the whole book is that picture, not his face. It presents God as an architect, which was kind of a weird stance at the time. 700-ish years later, William Blake brought this back with those two paintings up there. What's weird is the ball. So if you imagine that you're looking out to the edge of the universe from above Earth, that is what it would look like. This is called a logarithmic picture of the universe. Image is set up by perception. Music people, this is how equalizers work. So that image...
You cannot tell me in a 101... A bee scientifically cannot fly with its body weight and the size of its wings. Cannot. It shouldn't be able to. Right? True. But there's actually real things that are going on. They don't really just use their wings to flap air to fly. What they're doing is they're using vibration to make themselves fly. They're using frequency to make themselves fly. You know when they put sand on a table and they play a certain hertz, a certain frequency of sound, what happens to sand? It creates like hexagons. It creates like certain patterns. What is a honeycomb? Oh, it's the same thing? It's the same thing. It's hexagons. How do they make that shape? It's because of the vibration. They're moving that. Now, why is honey literally probably the only food naturally that doesn't go bad? Like fungus can't grow on it. It's so pure. It has all of these nutrients. It's very good for humans. Very good for everyone. But it doesn't go bad and it stays so pure.
Shout out to Yehukanan. That's all he ate was honey and locusts.
What makes it that way? It's been blessed by the frequency of the bees. Damn. And it's put into that, people call it like sacred geometry. That's what they call it.
Oh, it's sacred geometry.
The hexagon. Because the honeycomb is literally a hexagon. When what they do, they throw up the pollen into the thing and then they use their vibration to create it.
Damn, I didn't know that.
A bee, scientific.
That vibration, them bees. It's good though. I believe that because I think even on the Bee movie that they said they're not even supposed to fly. If you guys watch the kids' Bee movie, it said technically we're not supposed to fly or something along those lines. But it makes sense that they're able to fly with the vibration. That's a gem, y'all. There's something with this vibration that they ain't telling us.
You were meant to find this video. Are you not curious about why we are told that all ancient marvels like these were built with basic tools like chisels and hammers? Today, we dive into where this incredible knowledge came from. It all stems from the land of Mu, a massive continent conveniently left out of mainstream history books. This is where it gets much deeper. There is an article by the Courier Journal that came out in 1925, nearly 100 years ago, and it detailed Colonel Church's records. It mentions that some people were brought to India by flying machines from this land called Mu. These records also claim that Mu is the motherland of mankind and the home to the Garden of Eden. This is where it relates to all these buildings. In Mu, they had cities with palaces made from marble. They mastered the quarrying and transporting of gigantic stone blocks. Sounds like ancient Egypt to me. But they also carved those blocks into weird resemblances of human faces. What does this sound like to you? The records go on to suggest that the people of Mu navigated the air and sailed to distant lands with this rich cargo. But here is where it gets even crazier. This shows that the technology of flight existed long before the Wright brothers. Their story of creating the first plane in the 1800s is a massive lie. The information was stored for centuries and slowly released to us. Secondly, the records mention that Mu... You were meant to find this video. Are you not curious?
Are you kidding me? From lands beyond? That means they could have a whole palace in the sky. Because if we go back to the bee theory, technically they shouldn't be able to fly. But if you have the right vibration, imagine a building. I know this sounds crazy, y'all, but imagine an entire building having the right vibrational frequency, like in all those ancient buildings you see, temples you see in India. Yeah, they got gears that spin. Imagine all that in sync, given the right vibration. Those buildings possibly could have been possible of levitation. They could put pieces of paper right under certain spots of that building and they don't even touch. You know what I'm saying? So that's a video we gotta dive in deep on that, man. I'm gonna write that down for a future video, and we're gonna do an entire deep dive on that. Call it Flying Buildings from Distant Lands. We're gonna go back into that ice wall, beyond the ice wall. I know y'all want me to go back, but I need to get that book first. And I need to get some pieces lined up before we dive back into that. But it's coming, y'all. I promise. I genuinely want to figure out more about that. The lands beyond. Look at that. That building they just showed you. I would not be surprised if I saw one flying. I'm telling you right now, I would not be surprised if I walked outside right now, looked up, and I saw a palace or some type of building vibrating, flying in the sky. I would not be surprised.
Truth of why in the middle of the Vatican you find a statue of a pine cone instead of a statue of Jesus. In fact, pine cone symbolism is littered all throughout the Christian religion, as you can see on the Pope's staff. Here's the pine cone. Here's another example of the pine cone on the Pope's staff. And you can also find pine cone symbolism in many churches across the world. Oddly enough, pine cone symbolism can be found all over our ancient past. This is the staff of Osiris, an ancient Egyptian god. And you can see the pine cone being held by ancient Sumerian gods. Now it's funny because doesn't the Christian religion claim that what the Egyptians practiced was devil worship and evil? So why are they using the same symbolism? Now what people don't know is the pine cone is a representation of our pineal gland or our third eye. The word pineal has the same root as pine cone, and it exhibits a similar spine.
Before he gets too deep, you know, Christianity, we don't be rocking pine cones like that. I'm just going to put that out there in the middle of this video. We do not do that. If anything, it's going to be a cross, but I'm going to let him continue.
Spiral pattern or flower of life pattern as the pineal gland. Now the Eye of Horus is a representation of our pineal gland in the middle of our brain, and the pineal gland is responsible for producing DMT, which is the link between the inner and the outer worlds. It is the God gland, and the truth is always hidden in plain sight. You just need the eye to see. Peace and love. The shocking truth of
y'all gotta be careful with that pineal gland spirituality. You know what I'm saying? We are God's type energy. I get it, man, but that's my stance is, man, that ain't doing no salvation to nobody. That ain't saving no souls, but just trying to elevate people to do what? What are you trying to do? Have a astro project when you go to sleep, then come right back? You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. You know, drop in the comments below. I'm genuinely interested if you feel like this is some type of I can't even tell you. It just doesn't calculate in my brain when there's so much answers. There's so much. His handiwork cannot be denied out here, you know. So I eat the meat and spit out the bones on these videos, y'all. You see something good, you eat the meat. But when they start talking that spirituality stuff, you spit out the bones. You know what I'm saying? But it's interesting. But you gotta learn to eat the meat and spit out the bones.
It looks like a goblin is attached to it. Check out her dog's reaction. How it's centered and focused on the tree and its hackles raised. That's truly telling. And as she passes the tree, it gets even more terrifying. It almost looks like a demon face. Take a look at this and tell me.
That dog is like, hey, I'm not trusting this. I'm ready to bite him off. Yeah, that looks like a damn goblin. Where is this at?
What you think?
Tell me you see that. Do you see that in the tree? What? He sees it. Oh, God. We're going. He also sees a bird. What? No. Look it. Oh, what?
It looks like a goblin is attached to it. Check out her dog's reaction.
It kind of changed when they moved different directions, but from that view, it definitely gave me that Lamb Tartary vibes, the Lamb of Tartary. Oh my goodness, that changed me forever. You know, that Lamb of Tartary. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you need to watch my Lamb video. I think it's under the live tab. But yeah, we gotta go back to that. There's so much stuff I want to go back to, guys. I got a list of stuff, honestly, and we got to do the telescope lives. I gotta put my my list together of what I'm gonna buy, because I'm gonna get the cell phone holder. I'm getting a powerful telescope, and I would do that daily. Just tap in with y'all for an hour once I get it. I just gotta find a spot that's clear. Like if it's a clear night, best believe we're doing the telescope live. So be expecting those 100%. I always had an extreme passion for astrology, looking at the stars. I go out, I never miss a full moon. I go out there and just look for hours with the naked eye. That's just, I love that stuff.
I feel like we've stepped into the movie I, Robot. I mean, honestly, Will Smith has warned us about this, and this is now a reality. Elon Musk has unveiled his newest creations. One is the Robovan that holds up to 20 people, and Optimus, the robot, that they both literally look like they were just taken from the movie and plugged into the real world. I don't know about this, y'all. Take a look at this and tell me what you think.
Something that anyone could own. So you can have your own personal R2D.
The new Cybercab. Cybercab looks amazing. I know. I'm trying to get a ride. Dude, me too.
And you directly, I mean, that's just...
Elon, he's a techno king. Optimus can talk?
Yeah. He also does sign language.
Can you give a peace sign, Optimus? Can you do the peace sign? There he is. That's I got sick. Another one. There you go. Oh. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. Can you give a hell?
I feel like we've stepped into the movie I...
The Robovan? I ain't gonna lie, that looked sweet. You know, it's about time we start looking like we in the future on some Jetson type stuffs. But again, you know, the lithium mining and all that is brought new light to how I really feel about it. You know what I'm saying? Is it really worth destroying our environment to, you know, get the lithium ion? I don't know. For entertainment purposes only.
What happens if you need a vehicle that is bigger than a Model Y? Now, can you imagine going down the streets and you see this coming towards you? That'd be sick. So this can carry up to 20 people, and it can also transport goods. The Robovan is what's gonna solve for high density. What happens if you need a vehicle that is bigger than a Model Y? Now, can you imagine going down the streets and you see this coming towards you? That'd be sick. So this can carry up to 20 people, and it can also transport goods. The Robovan is what's gonna solve for high density. What happens if you need a vehicle? Fantastic. Oh, and what happens if you need a vehicle that is bigger than a Model Y? What is you were the Tesla van!
Optimus. It's insane. It's even talking. I had my friend John. John? Where's John?
Hey, he threw up the horns earlier.
Okay, this is wild. Meet Optimus. Tesla have just revealed their new robot that can help you with chores around the house, such as watering your plants. If you've got guests over, they can post for photos and pour your drinks. Optimus will even serve you your drinks and clean up afterwards. Optimus can do pretty much anything around the house. The starting point is around $30,000. But the spooky thing is though, there's been a lot of movies where this didn't go well. It's due to enter mass production in 2025, so you'll have to wait over a year to buy one. Not only this, Tesla also showed off their new Robo Van that can fit 20 people in. But we're not finished there either. Also, a cyber cab. You'll notice one thing, no steering wheel. Both of these are driverless. Using the Tesla app, you can summon a cab and it will arrive at your location, just like Uber, but with no driver. If this takes off, taxi drivers will face big problems because Elon Musk says this will only cost 18 cents per mile and taxi services will not be able to compete.
Can you imagine that? Instead of people catching Ubers, they're going to say, man, I got to catch a Tesla, man. People probably going to be taking those things across countries in 20 years. Yeesh. One thing that's going through my head is there's nothing new under the sun. So I'm thinking, how could they possibly have been doing something like this back in the day? Would there be like fossilized cars or something like that? Let's type that in real quick. We're going to keep diving down this Tesla hole, but we want to see. And you got to think about this, y'all. If they trying to mass produce these and what we've been looking at, they gonna need lithium. And you got to think about that, you know, that deal Tesla's got with who they get their lithium manufacturer from. So where are they getting all this new lithium to get these cyber cabs, that new cyber van? Sounds like they need a lot of lithium. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. But let's look into fossilized cars or petrified cars or something, because I'm like, nothing new's under the sun, right? Then where was these? This is the only thing I could find. And if you look, this thing, they really don't have a steering wheel from what I can see. But this is literally the only thing I can find. So maybe there isn't nothing new under the sun. Maybe they were flying and we couldn't see them, and just the resets didn't happen. So many resets. I need to write that down because we need to cover the resets more, man, honestly. But yeah, let me know your thoughts below. I'm not seeing no steering wheel with those.
Elon Musk has unveiled a Tesla Cybercab without a steering wheel and an Optimus humanoid robot, announcing that the future is here. Tesla launched the much-anticipated robo-taxi at an event in Los Angeles overnight, with CEO Elon Musk saying drivers would be able to make passive income from the new developments. He confirmed that the Cybercab would go into production in 2026 and cost less than $30,000. Elon Musk has unveiled a Tesla Cybercab.
2026, less than $30,000. Where are they getting that lithium? I'm saying again, where are they getting all these lithium batteries? Unless these are coming out to be hydrogen powered, which I doubt, because they got all this firmware, all this type of technology geared towards lithium. So it's like, where are they getting this lithium from? Because they contract ends in 2024. You know, if you ain't watched my last video, please go watch that video. I dive in deep into those contracts. So, just something to think about.
So our autonomous future is here. As I said, we've got 50 Teslas driving autonomously. We're trying to give you a sense of what cities will be like in the future. And when you get in, you'll see like it's really quite a wild experience to just be in a car with no steering wheel, no pedals, no controls, and it feels great.
Them boys gonna drive you straight to them camps. I'm just kidding. For entertainment purposes only. I like a good old school, man. I don't even got a car right now. I'm trying to get me a old school. I ain't gonna lie. But I did drive something new recently. My mom, she got a real new car, like a 2024, and it was smooth. You know what I'm saying? I was driving that thing. I was like, man, this thing, you can't even hear it start. You can't, I can definitely appreciate the new technology that goes in the car, but at the same time, I need something old school, man. I'm trying to get me like a 03, 04 Excursion with a V10 in it, like in between 150 and 200,000 miles, and I'm gonna put like a 2022, 2024 F250 face on it, and I'm gonna lift that boy. That's my dream car. You know what I'm saying? So drop what y'all driving, man. Y'all proud of y'all vehicles? Y'all got something nice? Drop in the comments what type of car you driving, man. That might be the code word. You know what I'm saying? Drop the code word. I'm not doing it at the end of the video. I'm doing it now. So I'm trying to catch y'all off guard. This is in case some of y'all might just click at the end of the video just to get the code word. But guess what? I'm doing the code word now. If you drop what type of car you drive, say, oh, I drive a van, just tell me what you guys driving, you know what I'm saying? So I get ideas. If you guys got a car you absolutely love, definitely drive it. But I'll come up with another code word down towards the end of the video. If you just like, man, I just drive whatever, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I used to drive whatever, but that thing looks like War Machine coming up. Look at that. Now look at this. Let me type it in real quick. War Machine. Can I spell? War Machine. Marvel. That thing got a War Machine. You see that? Now look at this. Look at that. Look at this. Tell me that thing don't look like War Machine off Marvel. Crazy.
Rest is to be in deep rest. It means your body and mind are resting too much, and you're missing this one thing from your daily routine. Consider yourself lucky if you're seeing this. It's probably the most important thing you'll hear all day, and chances are the algorithm's not going to show this to a lot of people. According to human energy field theory and quantum physics, everything is energy. From our thoughts to all that you see around you, it's all energy vibrating at different frequencies. And the only reason you and I exist is to turn the energy of our thoughts into physical reality. These ideas are commonly dismissed by the masses as hippie woo-woo nonsense, but more and more quantum theories are actually starting to provide a scientific basis for it. Everything is energy. Even Einstein said it with E equals MC squared. Your thoughts, your body, every physical object around you is energy. Emerging theoretical sciences like quantum physics or string theory are slowly uncovering what ancient mystics may have already known for thousands of years. Humans are the force by which the energy field of thinking is converted to become the energy of the physical world. Look around you. Almost everything you see used to be a thought that became real when people partook in the process of creation. This fidget spinner was once just a thought that only existed in someone's mind before the actions were taken to turn it into a physical object. The same applies to non-physical creations like music, ideologies, businesses, and theories. A human's main purpose is to create, and if we go prolonged periods without doing that, we end up in a state of deep rest. Depressed. When was the last time you created something, worked on a side project outside of school or work that you're just excited to work on? It's in moments like those, when we're working towards creating something that we are genuinely passionate about, that we feel the most alive and the furthest from being depressed. We get inspired to create through our information diet. The content we consume, watch, listen to, read about, all either fuels or inhibits our ability to create. Every thought that has entered your head, every bit of information you've consumed in your life has led you up until this point right here. There's a reason we loved stupid cartoons, Lego, coloring books, playing in the sand, or even Minecraft when we were younger. They're all tools, part of our information diet, that if used right can inspire creation. A great childhood consists of consistent creating and imagination, which is why life felt so light and free back then. When we get bogged down with work, school, chores, responsibilities, errands, and are too tired at the end of the day to create, we start getting sad and gloomy. The happiest people are the ones who take on side projects, hobbies, mini passion obsessions on their own terms outside of work or school, or even just those who genuinely love their jobs. Because they are creating something with some sort of end vision in mind. They are turning the energy of their thoughts into physical manifestations. And when they achieve that vision, they move on to the next thing, enjoying the process more than they do the end result. Doctors will never tell you this, because depression is a multi-billion-dollar industry with all the pharmaceuticals and therapists that are meant to keep you hooked on that low state so they can keep getting paid. To be honest, it's kind of the reason I started making these videos. I was bored with where my life was and started creating something I was genuinely interested in and shared it with others. Now, depression may very well be a chemical imbalance in your brain that needs physical attention, so this is not medical advice by any means. But don't use that as an excuse to not even try to create, to work on something meaningful in your life. Don't let those doubtful thoughts in your mind or even the opposing comments on this video put you down. Every human brain will feel happier if they are creating, working on something they genuinely love and believe in every single day. Jordan Peterson said it best: work as hard as you possibly can on at least one thing every single day and see what happens. Give it a shot. Think about everything you loved doing when you were younger and write it all down in a giant list. Then narrow it down to a handful of root reasons as to why you were interested in everything in that list to begin with. Read that list every day and fine-tune your information diet to only things that support that list, and eventually a stroke of inspiration, an idea so amazing that you will have no choice but to pursue it, will hit you. And that idea will cause your mind to shift and to actually be genuinely excited to create whatever that thing is in your life and awaken from your state of deep rest. Try it if you feel like you're ever stuck in a mental rut. Change your mind and you will change your life. Being depressed is to be in deep rest.
Stop eating that spun sugar.
You spoil your dinner.
Papa, we saw the Galapagos flood. Big waves came up and flooded the whole city. And when the water went back, it was all muddy and horrible, full of dead bodies.
Oh, look, the There's never been anything like it in the whole world.
We don't have to come here on a train or stay in a hotel. It's right in our own hometown. Grandpa, they'll never tear it down, will they?
Well, they'd better not.
I can't believe it. Right here where we live. Right here in St. Louis.
They made a movie about the World Fairs? How crazy is that? Any of you guys know what movie this is they made about the St. Louis World Fairs? Drop in the comments below. That is crazy. They had it in color.
Now, I want to show you a piece of quartz crystal in its natural form. Now, if we were to examine this carefully, we can see that the quartz crystal has a hexagonal cross-section. That is to say, it has 6 sides. Now, also, quartz crystal in its natural form has pointed ends. This one doesn't because a primary cut has already been made on this crystal. Now, let's take a look at this drawing so that we can determine more about the quartz crystal. There are 2 views. The top view indeed shows us that the quartz crystal has a hexagon shape, 6 sides. While the lower view points out that indeed the quartz crystal in its natural form does have pointed ends. Now, quartz crystal in its natural form cannot possibly be used in oscillator circuits. It must be cut in a specific manner to exhibit its piezoelectric properties.
You want some figures? Okay, latest water test. Tested the rain. 13,100 micrograms per liter of aluminum in the rain in 2013. Normally, it should be 0. So 13,100 is pretty damn much, folks. It used to be 0, then it was 100s in the 2000s, and then since 2010, it's into the 1000s and the latest 13,100. In the snow on Mount Shasta, pristine Mount Shasta, 61,000 feet, no, excuse me, 8,000 foot level, 61,000 micrograms per liter, 4 times the amount that is found in the soil up there. Where in the hell is this stuff coming from if it's not coming from the soil? You know, these tests are international in scope. We're seeing this all over the world, guys. Okay, pH of acid soils is 20 times more alkaline. The aluminum in the soil has doubled in the last 10 years. Aluminum blocks essential nutrients. I am unable in my garden to restore normal pH, and that's because nanoparticles are now in the circulatory systems of both plants and humans. So welcome, fellow guinea pigs. The collapse and decrease of agriculture is something I worry about even more than the previous info about autism.
There is a secret here. Can you see it? If you follow my page, you probably think that this looks a lot like a Chladni pattern, which is a 2D representation of a 3D sound. But this is way different in 3D. These Chladni patterns are actually a 3D matrix that traps the particles in between these waves inside this 3D grid. If we know where that grid is, we can shift the particle around just by changing the frequency of the sound. This is how we move things with sound. Now, there's many ways to observe this, and it's usually pretty chaotic. The chaos of these waves will just cause all these particles to move unless we use some sort of container. A better way to visualize this is when we use the water cymatics. In a bigger container, that frequency is chaotic and it spreads out. But when we contain it into a smaller area, we can see the sonic geometry that actually makes it up. One of the many secrets of sound.
Yin Yang shows two photons being entangled in real time, so it's true.
That's
a stunning
crazy.
experiment which reconstructs the properties of entangled protons from a 2D interface pattern. When you quantumly entangle two photons, they look like yin and yang. Do you know how insane this is? These particles are entangled in some way where they don't have to be in the same place and time, but they react to each other. It's a weird connection between two far apart particles that Albert Einstein objected to as spooky action at a distance. Enables two light particles, or photons, to become inextricably bound to each other so that a change to one causes a change in the other, no matter how far apart they are, as any measurement of one also causes an instantaneous change in the other.
Fan of the yin and yang. I don't know why, but quantum yin and yang. This is interesting. Let me know your thoughts below on this.
The yin yang. We've all seen this symbol, but what does it actually mean? Now, this symbol is a lot more complex than people think. It's so much more than just light and dark, or any of these dualities. It actually represents the unfolding process of creation according to Chinese metaphysics. Now, in Chinese philosophy, it is said that before all things, there was simply Wu Ji, an obscure word that often has three meanings: the infinite, the nonpolar, and the void, or nothingness. In this way, Wu Ji could represent an infinite, non-dual, metaphysical nothing that came before everything. It is an undifferentiated state of pure oneness that existed before duality, which nonetheless contains the potential for differentiation. Now, out of this potential, there came the differentiation into duality, or yin and yang. Two forces that are the archetypes of all complementary opposites in the universe, like life and death, creation and destruction, male and female, and so on. Now, it is said that the yin and yang actually came together and created Taiji, which is the symbol that most of you know. It represents what happens when yin and yang come together and create an eternal dance that basically transforms everything in the universe. This dance is essentially the heartbeat of the universe, according to which everything around us is always undergoing a constant cycle of change and transformation of opposites. For example, from night to day and day to night, creating an everlasting dance between night and day. Or from life and death to life, creating an everlasting dance between life and death. And the same goes for all dualities. Now I'll go over how this transformation of opposites actually happens in part 2. And for those that don't want to wait, you can watch my new YouTube video in which I...
Yin and yang are more real than we thought. Scientists have recently re-imaged two entangled particles which produced a yin-yang-like photo. Entangled particles are so deeply connected that they can send information instantaneously from across the universe. This action is what Einstein famously called spooky action at a distance. Quantum entanglement is a non-local function which proves that consciousness resides outside of the body and can eternally interact with all known dimensions.
Alright, let's talk about this symbol right here and what it means. This is the yin-yang symbol, also known as Taijitsu, and it simply represents our perceived duality in life as one whole. That the good goes with the bad, that the highs go with the lows, and that these two often opposing things, or seemingly opposing things, always have seeds planted in one another. That is to say, if we thought of black as death and white as life, these two things are always in flux, right? From life comes death, and from death comes life. They are not inherently separate, they are part of the same process, a unified process. Without one, there cannot be another. Or if we think of one as happiness and one as sadness, the seed of happiness exists in sadness the same way the seed of sadness exists in happiness. Because those two experiences, although we perceive them separately, are tied together. Without one, we cannot know the other, and vice versa. It simply wants to show us that everything we experience in life, no matter what levels it might be on, are unified and tied together in some form. Alright, let's talk about this symbol right here and what it means. This is the yin-yang.
My favorite story of the day is that quantum photography has revealed that two entangled photons look almost identical to a yin-yang. You can see the left uncolored photo here of the raw image, and then one that's been recolored to show it just a little bit more clearly on the right-hand side. And ladies and gentlemen, that's a yin-yang. Yin and yang, the classic Chinese Confucius symbol. You've probably seen this on temples. You've probably seen this in martial arts films. If you're familiar with my content, well, you've probably just seen it here on my arm. We'll get a nice close-up of that. And I think this is super cool. So what these aren't atoms, these are photons that have been entangled. That's kind of what quantum computing is running on at the moment and a focus of research. And you might have heard about Einstein's spooky action at a distance, which is when photons become entangled with each other, their properties also become entangled. And even though you can separate them, if you collapse one photon, to the best of our ability to tell, the other photon will collapse in a similar or identical way, if I'm not mistaken, despite the distance. A lot of our theory is that information itself cannot travel faster than the speed of light, and this tentatively seems to violate that, and I find that kind of surprising. And what's also very cool about this is the way it works. Quantum tomography. By taking a complex quantum state and applying a projection to it, they measure some property belonging to the state, such as its polarity, momentum, isolation, others, and they repeat this multiple times with each other to get multiple states, because a quantum object can have a variety of states. And then the hard part is getting rid of the disallowed non-physical states that maybe kind of sort of don't exist in the same way that we think about them existing. And they used optical holograms to kind of fast track that process and only show the accessible, easy, we'll generously say real parts of a quantum object. All parts are real, but let's keep it simple for now. And I just think this is super cool. And maybe the ancient Chinese were onto something. My favorite story of the day is that quantum photography...
That is incredibly interesting. Maybe they were onto something.
Only have heard.
Real quick, I'm gonna tell you why yin yang is demonic. You ever seen that coexist sign, right? All religions are the same, they got the same gods and everything else. That's because there is a secret society that has been around since literally Adam and Eve. I'm gonna try to simplify this as much as possible. Every esoteric art, every alchemy, any kind of magic or whatever you want to call it in each of these cultures, work off of a bastardized understanding given by Satan himself of angelic knowledge. But do you think that Satan's gonna give you the real deal? Satan is a lawyer and he's a brash businessman. Their whole good versus evil stuff is only controlled opposition in the spirit realm. Because this is where you get the good magic, white magic versus black magic. Under whose authority? If it's not under God's authority, it's evil. As much as you try to fake and pretend like you got morals, you're just copying off a God, establishing your own judgments. That's why witches and these druids and whatnot gotta put stuff in your face in the media and everything else and tell you what they're about to do before they do it, because they believe in karmic retribution. If they tell you what they're gonna do beforehand and put it in your face and you do not oppose it, it is full legal grounds for them, right, quote unquote, to do what they want, and they're not gonna get punished for it because, well, they told you. For example, they can tell you, well, we made this artificial sweetener. So they let you know that this is not real sugar. This is man-made, it's fake, but it tastes sweet. But then you find out that this stuff causes cancer. Well, we told you it was artificial. If you did the whole background homework on it, that's your problem. We didn't have to. We told you it was man-made. Karmic retribution. Or for example, somebody could teach you, well, I'm going off of God's laws, right? We teach healthy, godly marriage. Sounds good, right? Because they're using Bible verses. But then you find out that their version of a healthy marriage is totally toxic, and they'll use Bible verses to justify it. Karmic retribution. So depending on your flavor, you can just be outright wicked and lawless, right? Lawless, even though they got their laws as well. And Satan will give you his demons, the offspring of the angels, to help you out. Or you can have a higher moral ground and be a magical lawyer, and Satan will give you the white side, the fallen angels. You don't remember? I will go up into the heavens and I will be as the Most High and be the Most High. If it's not from the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob himself, it's demonic. Real quick, I'm going to tell you why yin yang is demonic.
Man, this is a heated debate. Top comment says, yin yang, light and darkness. Yin and yang let you know that there's a balance. Cold versus hot, day versus night, good versus evil. Nothing demonic about it. But He responded, yin and yang is the flea market version of understanding God's true operation, totally corrupted version of truth. They said the peace sign is a pyramid with a beam of light coming out the top. Now you can't unsee it. I said it first. Oh my God.
This kid actually caught a creature that can travel through space and time.
He recorded a strange image with a cell phone. Let's see what the following
This
is
video
about.
is translated using AI, but this is a real news story.
I don't tell you. Yes, tell me after. Well, that's where we look. And the truth is that he looks like a man, which is not of our time.
Very creepy
On the other
footage.
hand, the son of Tito Katapo took a cell phone and started recording what his father was doing. First, his tattoo on his back. Then the little boy sang his face, turned the phone over, and left it. A rare creature appears at the end of the record. They did not notice anything. Everything was discovered.
What is that? It's nothing like I've ever seen before, and I don't think you watching can tell me what it is.
Daddy, are you going to watch the video? So I started to check it out, and in the end it came out that... How did you feel when...
That thing is definitely not from this earth. And remember, this video was translated using AI, but this is a real news story. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay weird.
How creepy was that? It kind of resembled a reptilian, didn't it?
It's been a huge breakthrough in quantum computing, as 1.58 dimensions is apparently the correct amount of dimensions to unlock zero loss energy efficiency. And I know this sounds like a gigantic mouthful of scientific buzzwords. I'm going to try to break it down in a meaningful way today. But one of the first things that I noticed is that this new type of material, which we'll talk about, looks a lot like a Triforce. I just had to point that out. I don't know what sort of magic or Zelda's involved, but this is basically magical. And what you're looking at here in yellow and brown is bismuth on top of indium. And what's interesting about this is these are known as topological insulators, which have a different material outside and inside, with the inside being insulating and the outside having a various number of complicated quantum states that allow them to conduct electricity. In this case, scientists in China have managed to make one function in fractional dimensions. It's not something we think about often. We think about dimensions as 1, 2, 3, something like that. Fractional dimensions are a real thing, and the math behind them just fundamentally breaks my brain. So I'm not going to get into that too much, but fractional dimension 1.58 is apparently the correct amount to create near lossless energy transfer, because it's one singular piece of matter with the indium and the bismuth just touching each other. It's pretty much completely lossless transfer. Now, we knew about these things having in 1, 2, and 3 cube dimensions. These were just discovered in the 1980s. They were noted for their fractal nature, which is sort of this recurring pattern down toward infinity. And here is a very good explanation. They got a Nobel Prize for discovering this. On the inside, topological insulators are insulating, while at their boundaries there are currents running. This makes them very suitable for applications in quantum technologies and could reduce world energy consumption enormously. So the only downside is they have to be very, very cold to exist, so it's very difficult. However, scientists recently managed to put bismuth on top of indium, and apparently that works for creating one of these things. I'm going to see how we try to describe it. By growing a chemical element, bismuth, on top of semiconductor indium antimonide, the scientists in China obtained fractal structures that were spontaneously formed upon varying the growth conditions. The scientists then theoretically showed that from these conditions, a zero-dimensional corner modes and lossless one-dimensional edge states have emerged, which is very complicated. As they describe, by looking between the two dimensions, we have found the best of both worlds, because the fractals behave like two-dimensional topological insulators at finite energies, and at the same time exhibit zero energy, a state that at its corners could be used as a qubit. My God, it took us a long time to get there, which are the building blocks of quantum computers.
So the Triforce in Zelda is real when you look down at it on a very cold microscopic level. And when you look at that infinite energy, it kind of resembles the Triforce on Zelda. Let me know in the comments what you guys think.
So they're hoping that they're making future qubits for quantum computers that would be nearly, it'd be like 99.999999999 on off toward infinity level of efficiency, which would be fantastic. And boy, this one's so complicated, it's hard for me to explain. I think it's going to be a very long time before this hits like mainstream.
Isn't that called like the split helix test or something like that? I think it's like the split helix. Like you can't observe matter until you look at it. You know? How creepy is that? I do believe to a certain extent we all are on the same consciousness. We can, almost like how telepathy works in a way. Like, have you ever reached for your phone to call somebody and they literally called you right as you reached up your phone? That's us being on the same consciousness. So I think that there's certain levels to it. I don't agree with everything Billy Carson says, but how he breaks it down definitely makes you think how other ways energy can be portrayed, like how we live eternally. I think we live eternally in certain aspects. How we live eternally depends on how we live on this life now and how we do on this earth.
Manifestation, the law of reversibility. If water can turn into steam, then steam can turn into water. Steam and water are the same thing vibrating on a different frequency. If circumstance can produce a feeling, then feeling can produce circumstance. Mass can turn into energy, and energy can turn into mass. This is science. Think of Einstein's E is mc squared. E is energy, m is mass, and c is speed of light. What you are seeking is also seeking you. Thoughts are waves. Waves carry frequencies and energy. Mass also carries frequency and energy. Mass is bound by space and time. Waves exist everywhere beyond space and time. If you can think of your desire, then it is already existing in another dimension in the quantum field. It just has no mass yet. All waves exist in the quantum field. The quantum levels are different realities, but your mind has the ability to pick up on that frequency. Everything is energy. Everything vibrates. Since thoughts are waves, they determine in what reality you live in. You are giving your thoughts energy through emotions. Emotions are energy in motion. Our emotions are the light in Einstein's equation. In order to quantum jump into your desired reality, you have to align your vibration to the frequency of your desire. That's where the subconscious mind comes in. This is why emotional control and thought control are vital. Change the paradigm in your subconscious mind. It is the subconscious mind that controls your vibration. It has almost exclusive control over your thoughts. Most of the thoughts you think today are the same thoughts you thought of yesterday. Place your attention, and therefore your emotions, which is energy in motion, on the thoughts you want to manifest, instead of the things you don't want to manifest. You have the power to consciously reject the thoughts you don't want to turn into mass. Reason why many people can't manifest what they want is because they rely only on their five senses. But not only do you have your five senses, you also have higher faculties. These are intuition, will, perception, reason, imagination, and memory. But we were never taught how to use those. We were taught to rely only on our five senses. That means we are letting the outside influence the inside. But we as humans create our own environment. That means what happens on the inside mirrors itself on the outside. The mirror principle. That's why there are whole bloodlines continuing the cycle of poverty and misfortune. Their five senses, which are connected to the conscious, rational mind, pick up on that. Because they are unaware of the fact that their inside mirrors itself into the outside, they accept the things their five senses pick up on.
Use your higher faculties to trick your five senses. It is the inside that mirrors itself into the outside. Your vibration determines in which reality you live in. Use your perception. Change how you perceive things. Use your imagination. Visualize the things you want instead of the things you don't want. Get yourself into the emotional state of the version of you that already has what you desire. Always be calm and relaxed. If you are not, it means your mind is in a state of lack and fear. Einstein said, "Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality." You are constantly creating your reality. Start to consciously create the life you want today. I'm sure most of you have already heard about the power of liquids. Take some water or perfume, meditate on it, hold it in your hands while meditating and speak your affirmations onto it. For example, wealth, success, abundance. Do this for at least 11 minutes. Now, every time you drink the water or smell the perfume, it will remind you of your affirmations. Now think of the version of you that has everything you desire. Act and feel like this person. Thoughts that constantly repeated in your head will produce corresponding emotions. Thoughts that are felt make their way into your subconscious mind, the creative force that controls your life. From there, the energy of that thought's frequency gets passed onto your sympathetic nervous system. This energy is now a part of your DNA and affects your vibration. Your vibration attracts things to you that are in harmony with it. Not only that, your subconscious mind has almost exclusive control over your habits, which control your actions and therefore your results. 90% of your behavior is habitual. Your subconscious mind also controls your thoughts and feelings. Most of the thoughts you think today are the same thoughts you thought of yesterday. Take control of your thoughts and emotions. Change the paradigm in your subconscious mind and get the life.
This is so crazy to me. There's actually scientific proof that humans are not physical beings, and that in fact, nothing in our universe is physical or solid. This is a picture of a quark. So quantum physics tells us that everything is fundamentally made up of atoms. Everything in our universe is made up of atoms that are made up of electrons, neutrons, and protons. And protons and neutrons are made up of quarks. And electrons are made up of leptons. But what are quarks and leptons made of? They're made of nothing. Quarks and leptons are just pure energy. Quarks and leptons are fast-moving points of pure energy. They're made up of literally nothing. They are nothing. So that means that at the fundamental core of the atom, and therefore at the fundamental core of everything in our universe, there is no material there. It's just pure energy. It's energy vortices. You are just energy vortices. Energy is only transformed. It's neither created nor destroyed. So this energy that is you and that is everything persists forever. It is immortal. So this means that you're not just a temporary flesh sack that lives for 80 years, then dies forever. You are the same energy as everything in our universe. So this means that humans are purely eternal spiritual beings, and that the physicality and solidity of everything is just an illusion. You are an immortal divine being, and next time you feel alone, just know that you can't be alone because you literally are one with everything.
Using quantum physics, which has done so well by us, perhaps the most successful theory ever about anything, fails in its attempt to predict the amount of dark energy in the universe. And it fails badly by a factor of a Google.
Wow, by a factor of
bigger than a Google. It's like 10 to 123 or something.
Google is 10 to the 100th?
Yeah.
It gets the wrong answer by the biggest amount ever in a mismatch between theory and observation.
Yeah.
Where are we with the dark energy theorists?
Well, look, what this is showing us is that quantum mechanics is incredibly successful when you apply it to the electromagnetic force, to the weak nuclear force, to the strong nuclear force. But we've long known that when you apply it to gravity, something goes wrong, something changes. This is the motivation for string theory, and this is the motivation for trying to go beyond conventional approaches.
This machine can create nearly the coldest conditions in the universe at about 460 degrees below zero. In that environment, a radically new kind of computer may change civilization as we know it.
We're looking at a race between China, between IBM, Google, Microsoft, Honeywell, because the nation or company that does this will rule the world economy.
There's cities underground, there's warehouses underground, there's actual homes underground. People build these tunnels, and they've built them for decades. There's a lot of elite celebrities. They go down there for parties. Underneath the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, California. I was there for a cock party. We walked through the museum, through the garden area, and employees led us to underground tunnels. We had to take an elevator and stairs. We had to be led. There is no way that you can just walk into a tunnel. The entrances and the exits are in your face, but there's no way that you can just walk through tunnels. You'll get stuck. You'll go deeper and deeper, and you won't be able to come back out because it's hard, because the tunnels run all different directions for miles and miles and miles and miles. So if you go down the wrong one, you'll get stuck, and it's confusing to turn back around and get back to where you're going. So you have to be led in and out. I think people assume that when you get underground, it's just this dirt, and you keep going deeper, and there's more dirt, and then there's cages of... No, that's not how it works. The Playboy Mansion. The Playboy Mansions. I met some really elite people when I was there. I had to do jobs with some elite celebrities.
I'm a psychic medium, so I actually, like, every time I walk past his house, and obviously the Playboy Mansion's right there, and we know about the tunnels that connect from the Playboy Mansion.
To here?
I'm sure they connect here. Why wouldn't
There are places that connect, so what kind of energy? What kind of energy are you picking up?
Just like, there's just like darkness. I mean, in general, like, I've always had weird feelings on this street.
Yeah.
This type. Well, the Playboy Mansion's down there. So I always thought it was the Playboy Mansion. It wasn't until probably a year ago that I realized this was Diddy's house.
I cannot believe what went on under it. Playboy magazine reports it has just discovered blueprints for a network of tunnels beneath the mansion that supposedly led to the homes of Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, James Caan,
Will you watch your step, boy?
and Kirk Douglas. Now dig this. A photo from the late 70s allegedly showing an excavation in progress beneath the mansion. And this one shows the newly discovered tunnel plans. Check out the bunny logo on the plywood wall. Best of all, the blueprint. It says this tunnel leads to James Caan's house. This one to Jack Nicholson's. This one to Kirk Douglas's. And this one goes all the way to Warren Beatty's house.
What is it with these underground cities and tunnels? What are they working on?
So can you guys take a wild guess as to what actually happens when you trap an air bubble in a vat of water and pass a sound wave through it? It creates an...
This is solemn science. We know all about this. We covered this in my older videos, but it's definitely worth to watch it.
artificial star. The bubble collapses upon itself and starts producing light. How could this be? How is this possible that we can produce a star from passing sound through water? So that must mean that the stars have to be something completely different than what we're told they are. They can't just be giant balls of gas and fire combusting in the empty vacuum of space. Nothing can combust in the empty vacuum of space. And if you say grateful and loving words into water and then freeze it in time, it actually produces beautiful geometric patterns. But if you freeze water after saying hate or I'm gonna kill you, it actually creates disgusting, distorted patterns. Because everything in the universe is light, sound, and frequency. The length of the sound wave produces a different frequency when passing through the light photons. Nikola Tesla knew a lot about this, and he understood that our universe is infinite energy. Do me a favor and just look up cymatics. You can produce stars through passing sound waves through light and water. Of course, I'm making all of this up. Of course, the stars are big balls of gas and fire combusting in outer space when you can't combust anything in the empty vacuum of space. And have you heard of the term as above, so below? Jellyfish communicate through light and sound frequency. That's what bioluminescence is. And fungi communicate to each other through light and sound frequencies. This isn't animated. This isn't made up. This is completely real. They use different resonant tunes to communicate with each other with light. Light, sound, vibration. Wow, that's insane. So the entire universe is made up of light and sound vibrating at a specific frequency. Of course, this entire video is satire. I made all of this footage up. None of it is real or based off of any scientific research whatsoever.
I actually didn't know there was a bioluminescence forest. That's new and fascinating. We got to dive into that. Bioluminescent forest. You could barely see it. Whoa. Straight off of Avatar, guys. Who knew? Avatar based on a true story.
The bioluminescent mushroom. Imagine a cluster of mushrooms that glow an eerie green in the forest at night. These bioluminescent fungi use their internal light to attract insects, which spread their spores. They create a magical and slightly spooky sight on the forest floor. The bioluminescent mushroom.
Fascinating.
So, this is what we see with the naked eye. And this is what the camera sees with a 30-second exposure.
Boy, that camera was dirty.
Becomes brighter as the fungus digests the tree. When fungi have fed sufficiently, they develop their reproductive organs. Some feed on dead plants, others eat them alive, and some reveal their existence in an eerily beautiful way. In Africa, in the Congo, this is known as chimpanzee fire. The mysterious bioluminescent glow becomes brighter as the fungus digests the tree. When fungi have fed sufficiently, they develop their reproductive organs. Produce literally billions of spores. The tiny particles that carry the species' genetic blueprint. Each spore, like this, has the potential to kill a tree. Becomes brighter as the fungus digests.
Damn, chimpanzee fire. How interesting is that? I have to experience this. I have to. If this is real, I have to see the bioluminescence forest, and I have to travel to wherever this is.
Last week I was walking around my friend's property trying to take pictures of a rare species of firefly known as the blue ghost, and I found something peculiar. A tree glowing in the dark. At first I thought my eyes were deceiving me, but they weren't. A small sapling that had recently been cut down was actually glowing a bluish green color. But it wasn't magic or paint that was causing it. It was a fungus. The foxfire fungus, to be exact. The bluish green glow is caused by luciferins. And luciferins are a type of substrate that produce light in the presence of oxygen when they react with certain enzymes. Luciferins are responsible for bioluminescence in almost all species that produce light, including the blue ghost fireflies my friends and I were trying to find. So while we didn't find those elusive fireflies, we did get to see something else that glows in the dark and learn about the mechanisms behind bioluminescence, which is still pretty cool. Last week I was walking around my friend's property trying to take pictures of a rare species of fire.
What was it called? Luciferins? And what was the fireflies called again?
Firefly known as the blue ghost, and I found something peculiar.
The blue ghost. I want to see that. Damn, my marker dried up. I need a pen, y'all. Hold on. Look at how fat this pen is. You know, I got really big hands, so this should help. Oh yeah, this is great to grip. Firefly. I believe that's what she said. Luciferins and blue fox firefly?
Peculiar. A tree glowing in the dark. At first I thought my eyes were deceiving me, but they weren't. A small sapling that had recently been cut down was actually glowing a bluish green color. But it wasn't magic or paint that was causing it. It was a fungus. The foxfire fungus, to be exact. The bluish green glow is caused by luciferins. And luciferins are a type of substrate that produce light in the presence of oxygen when they react with certain enzymes. Luciferins are responsible for bioluminescence in almost all species that produce light, including the blue ghost fireflies my friends and I were trying to find. So while we didn't find those elusive fireflies, we did get to see something else that glows in the dark and learn about the mechanisms behind bioluminescence, which is still pretty cool. Last week I was walking around my friend's property trying to take pictures of a
Damn, we didn't even see it. She didn't even show it, did she? Let me see the name of this firefly and then we're out. Blue ghost firefly. I'm going to show you guys the blue ghost firefly and those foxfire fungus she barely showed us.
Last week I was walking around my friend's property trying to take pictures of a rare species of firefly known as the blue ghost, and
I wish I had friends that could tell me about this type of stuff. A blue ghost, firefly, the foxfire fungus, luciferin, you know, it's like I feel ashamed that I had to go to the internet and find this stuff when I wish I could have knew it about my entire life. You know what I'm saying? I'm just now finding out about this stuff. The forest of bioluminescence. How cool is that? And there's more than one species of firefly. I thought it just was the green ones that pop up around June and July, but they got different species of fireflies.
It'll be all over here. Oh my god! Holy, look at this. Wow. Like, I've seen bioluminescence, but not like this. That is insane. It's like something out of Avatar. I'm just having a biome moment. What? Watch this. Oh my god. I'm playing with the water, sorry. It'll be all over here.
How beautiful is this earth, man? You don't need Avatar to see that beautiful. What was a planet called? Pandora. You don't need to go to Pandora. We got that stuff right here on Earth. This happens in real life.
البحر قاعد تشوفون الظاهرة.
Those scorpions? They look like they're glowing in the dark.
If you encounter this phenomenon at the beach, get out of the water immediately because you really don't know the dangers that lurk within. This phenomenon, emitting a mysterious blue glow, is called a bioluminescent beach, also known as Martian tide. It is a rare natural wonder. Worldwide, it has appeared in fewer than 10 countries. According to marine biologists, bioluminescent beaches result from a type of bioluminescence caused by countless plankton that shimmer with blue light. This magical microorganism is called dinoflagellate. Dinoflagellates are a very primitive type of single-celled algae. Their cells contain luciferase, and here's how they look magnified. Under normal circumstances, they can be found in both freshwater and seawater. This rare phenomenon is the result of the collective power of countless dinoflagellate cells. When they are subjected to external pressures, such as being hit by waves, they emit light, similar to fireflies. If you're lucky enough to encounter this, it's advised not to make direct contact with exposed skin, as the dinoflagellate cells can attract a large number of pathogenic microorganisms, which might infect humans through any cuts or wounds. While this beachside spectacle provides a romantic visual feast, the underlying issues it indicates should raise concerns. It's one of the early signs of marine eutrophication. If left unchecked, it could lead to an explosive growth of dinoflagellates, resulting in red tides. Once these dinoflagellates, represented by organisms like Noctiluca scintillans, proliferate and die in large numbers, they will greatly deplete the oxygen in the water, leading to the suffocation and death of other marine life, severely damaging the marine ecosystem. So, would you still dare to play in a heavily polluted marine area? If you encounter
Maybe if we wear gloves or had like some type of latex socks, bodysuit, I don't know.
Yeah! Oh my god! Bio dance. Oh my god! Holy sh! There we go. Oh shoot! Damn, look at that! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh. It is getting better. Holy sh!
Sí, sí. Ya lo he intentado.
Monte, un cricket,
Okay,
un grillo, something.
Oh, sí.
It's called a semi-slug?
Semi-slug, yeah. Gyotis is the genus.
It tastes like a straw. Wow. Well, late night.
Look at the perfect swirl on that snail. Kind of reminds you of like a hurricane or something.
These are blue ghosts.
Damn, that might be my new favorite flower. Not that I had one before, but look at this. That is beautiful. What is it called? Deb's Fireflies. That's the name of this, Deb's Flower Flies. I love this. Now, something was a little concerning, that damn name. Luciferns? What is Lucifern? The luciferins is something that reacts with the oxygen that causes stuff to glow.
Light cells. What's the secret to its glow? In the 19th century, French farmers, what's happening inside the firefly's light cells? What's the secret to its glow? In the 19th century, French pharmacologist Raphael Dubois, working with bioluminescent clams, discovered that there are two essential components to these creatures' light show. He named them luciferin and luciferase, based on the Latin term lucifer, for light bringer. Luciferin is the compound that generates light, and luciferase is the enzyme that acts on it. Today we know that the firefly's bioluminescent reaction plays out like this. A firefly diverts oxygen to its light cells through its tracheoles, and those oxygen molecules react to luciferin, catalyzed with the help of luciferase and energy in the form of ATP. The luciferin then becomes agitated and excited, elevating its energy level. And when the excited luciferin drops back to its normal state, it releases that energy in the form of light, creating the fire in fireflies.
This is such an interesting question. Could we eat the chemical compound that causes bioluminescence, luciferin, and glow ourselves? Sadly, as humans, no. Our abdomens are full of organs and our skin is way too thick for the light to shine through. So even if we did eat a bunch of fireflies, you still wouldn't be able to see the glow from inside your stomach or anything like that. I have heard of people catching fireflies and rubbing them on their skin to make it glow, but it's a really temporary effect and then the glow fades after 10 seconds. But smaller animals, like frogs, have skin that is very, very thin, so when they eat a firefly, the light actually does shine through their body for a little while, as seen in this video right here. Some animals actually don't produce their own luciferin and have to get it from other sources, like the bobtail squid, which hosts bioluminescent bacteria inside of their own bodies that let them glow. You can check out this episode of my podcast where I talk to Dr. Sarah McAnulty about these really cool glowing squids if you want to learn more. Keep the cool questions coming. I really enjoy answering them. This is such an interesting question. Could we eat?
I've done that before. When I was a kid, took a firefly. You spell your name or whatever with the shirt on your shirt. R.I.P. to those fireflies that I sacrificed as a kid. Oh my goodness. Lord forgive me. I still had time to play games, man, that skin goes hard. Look at how tight this skin is. I wonder if they still got this. What is this even? Call of Duty, right?
Done and dusted.
Yeah, that goes hard.
Templo de Satan Chile es un proyecto mixto.
Look at my watch. It says time to get moving. Not now. I'm doing a video. I like that my watch says that. It'll say it's time to get moving. I'm doing a video.
Templo de Satan Chile es un proyecto mixto.
She ain't talking about nothing. I guarantee you, she ain't telling you to repent. I guarantee you that. I call them succubus.
Scientists have just confirmed the existence of plasmoids.
These self-illuminating plasma-like UAPs have multiple shapes and sizes. They're attracted to electromagnetic activity and have been filmed diving into the ocean, as well as hovering near space shuttles and satellites. They have explosive properties, negatively affect electronics, and mental activity, possibly inducing hallucinations of alien abductions. Scientists suspect that they are sentient and represent a fourth domain of life. After 14 years of extensive research, it is a conclusion that so-called unidentified flying objects that have been seen in our atmosphere are not spaceships from another planet, but are groups and masses of living organisms that are much a part of our atmosphere and space as the life we find in the oceans. It has been hypothesized that dusty plasmas in the thermosphere may have incorporated all the necessary elements for the synthesis of RNA leading to DNA and thus life. Scientists have just confirmed the
That's your thoughts below. Damn, is my mic working? It might be time to get a new mic, y'all. This is a slippery slope to be diving into. All this damn stuff I gotta navigate through on these waters to try to get some type of answers on Luciferus and Luciferin.
Up with is this. I decided that releasing fireflies would be my contribution to the environment here this year.
Using compounds that create the glow of a firefly's belly, researchers were able to image cells deep in the brain of this marmoset for over a year. Bioluminescence of fireflies comes from a chemical reaction in their lower abdomens. It's all based on an enzyme and a compound, coming together with a little oxygen and ATP. As the reaction goes forward, light is emitted. Now researchers have engineered a modified luciferase-luciferin pair that glows up to 1,400 times brighter. These improvements allow the detection of cells in living animals much deeper inside the animal and with more precision, the equivalent of detecting a single firefly in a space the size of a high school gym. They were also able to monitor the activity of specific neurons in mice in reaction to novel environments.
All I could come up with is this. I decided that releasing
reaction to novel environments.
All I could come up with is this. I decided that releasing
Testing. Yeah, this mic been through it, hasn't it? Much times as I've been slamming it off. It used to have a little piece right here to, but my older videos I had it, but that thing broke off. But we're gonna rock this till the wheels fall off. That's interesting. What are these light bringer, these black street lights popping up everywhere? Let me type that in.
Up with is this. I decided that releasing fireflies would be my contribution to the environment here this year.
So I wanted to show you the blue lights that we have here in my town in Iowa. They like to put the blue lights on the off and on ramps to the interstate. That's where I find a majority of these blue lights. As you can see here, what normal lights look like, and then all of a sudden, wow, look at the black light. Wow, look at how it lights up the ground purple. Wow, look at that. Wow. So I wanted to show you the blue.
Was she serious? Wow. She probably recorded that like 3 or 4 times. And she was like, all right, this is the last time I've recorded. I'm doing this U-turn. I'm turning around. And I'm recording. I wasn't hitting record the first time. Wow, look at that. You see that? Wow. All right, I got it, y'all. I'm just playing, y'all. What's the harm in these blacks? I get what they can spot you, but I thought it looked cool, honestly. Drop in the comments if I'm missing a major picture, but I think they look cool.
I've been saying that these purple lights are for users to not be able to see their veins. Well, this is a gated railway station that they cannot even get into. So let's do away with that narrative. You guys have been lied to. These purple lights are serving a far more serious agenda.
Oh, they said so users can't see their veins? Damn. That's a good thing, isn't it? Or am I tripping? I'm really missing the big picture here, y'all. I can tell, but that's a good thing if the users can't see their veins at nighttime.
And here we go.
The LED lights. We're seeing purple lights pop up all over the country in America right now. What's fascinating about these purple lights that they're calling a defect, and it's not a conspiracy or aliens or the government doing this, the news station is actually saying this.
Some thought it was some sort of discreet sign for law enforcement, the government, or aliens. No conspiracy theory behind the light.
No conspiracy. Exactly. No conspiracy.
The word conspiracy theory was coined by the CIA to make anybody who talks about the JFK assassination and an alternative outlook on it look like a nutcase that needs tinfoil on their head. But these purple lights showing up all over the place. The interesting thing about purple lights in blue, violet, is that it can hold the most data for mind control. There's scientific experiments with LED lights, as we see the LED lights being rolled out all over the world, not only for the Internet of Things, but these LED lights, there's scientific experiments proving that they can place false memories into people's brains and also control nanoparticles in the behavior of mammals and bacteria. They switched from this incandescent light bulb, which is nice on our eyes because it somewhat mimics the sun. Harvard researchers are saying there's a dark side to this blue light. This is why they make blue light glasses. But the reason it can store so much data for this mind control with purple and blue and violet that we see these lights popping up everywhere, this is why we have Blu-ray discs and Bluetooth, because blue can hold the data. So I'm going to show you how these lights can be used to put thoughts into your brain, sending information through the lights and manipulating our behavior. We used to be mind controlled in a more positive light through the campfire. We would stare at the campfire and we would tell stories, and this would go into our subconscious mind. But we would stare at the light, and this switched to us being in front of a television with the flicker rate flickering, putting us in a hypnosis stance. They choose the flicker rate on purpose because they could choose any flicker rate, but the flicker rate that they choose puts you in a deep hypnotic state, which makes you suggestible for programming. Mind control turned into behavioral mind control after the Pavlov dog experiments. So all the social media apps and the phones that we use, there's even programs coming out on neural governance, how it is mind controlling us, and there's people protesting it. Very smart people, not like myself, but like professors and doctors and stuff. Hacking our behavior via these apps, this is why they have gambling experts create these social media apps that we all use today. Over a third of the population is on these social media apps. So most of the world is using these and is in danger of having their thoughts taken over. But we're going to look into how these lights can control us, and maybe they already are. The movie A Clockwork Orange exposed the MK Ultra mind control techniques and had a famous quote, a bit of the old Ultra. This movie showed how MK Ultra could use strobe lighting effects to put people under mind control. The visible spectrum of light goes from the lowest hertz of red to the highest hertz of violet. Cops have red and blue lights because the red you could see during the day and the blue you could see better at night, proving that the blue is more powerful. Like I said, Blu-ray disc, Bluetooth, and then the upcoming alien invasion, the fake alien invasion under Project Blue Beam, which will use laser lights to show holographic images of aliens. Now scientists can make holographic images able to be touched. There has been scientific experiments where scientists can control algae via lights by placing a virus into the algae, which created new proteins so they could control the host via LED lights. Light-sensitive microbes communicate the same as neurons. Using lights allows the organism to be manipulated in actions and emotions. This could switch brain cells on and off. This is an experiment that has been proven to work. It's the first time anyone had managed to control brain cells with lights. The Smithsonian Magazine says telepathic communication with lights implanting thoughts into people's minds is within reach. And this has been successfully done decades ago on mice. Using lights to control the brain is called optogenetics. Triggering or implanting memories via light. Scientists can activate or shut down neural pathways, altering behavior. This is mind control via lights. Optogenetic stimulation can activate fear memories. A specific memory is encoded by neurons which can be manipulated, stimulating them with light to control them by implanting memories. Just like the neuralizer we saw in the movie Men in Black. Men in Black had that little flash of light on the neuralizer and then they gave you a false memory. Well, these movies being rolled out in the 90s, that is what's happening today.
This is absolutely blowing my mind. Blu-ray, Blue Beam. This, I get it now.
Done with mice. They have implanted false memories into mice brain. Pokemon sent 700 kids into the hospital and they were all having seizures because of this hypnosis flickering of light. The Weeknd had a music video which was banned from movie theaters because of the strobe lights. Wireless optical electrodes can deliver light to neurons in human brain, enabling us to erase memories, just like the film Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Companies have created devices that allow you to control lights with your thoughts, where you can turn a light on and off by thinking about it. Tiny injectable LEDs manipulate the brain with light. It's a tool to manipulate the brain in living tissue. This is all real scientific research that I'm telling you about right now. Not only can they plant memories and thoughts into people's brains through these light bulbs, but also they can control nanoparticles throughout the body with the light. New method to control nanoparticles with lights and magnets. Light particles that can be manipulated with magnet tracking the position of the nanoparticles in a body or a cell. Light control of silver nanoparticles. Metal nanoparticles have interaction with light, which can control the heart of a human. So the question I ask, is this happening right now?
And you guys got to think about it. That Microsoft Coke deal with Nano, what if they trying to implant everybody with these nanoparticles and then they just going to have these giant blue lights everywhere for them to just take over? That's what I'm thinking, y'all. That is crazy. Just like this, Men in Black Blue. Just when I thought this was going to be a peaceful, bioluminescence episode, this took a turn for the worse. The Men in Black Blue Flash, Blue Beam, Bluetooth. Oh my God.
Technology that everyone needs to know about is nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is basically the outer edge of material science. It's the point where matter gets manipulated at a very, very small level. The fact that it's 1,000,000 times smaller than an ant. Right now the focus is on creating very tiny machines that can build other machines. These machines are also programmable, meaning they can be used to produce more of whatever you like. And these nanobots are so small, they can pull apart almost any material. Soil, air, water, atom by atom. Currently there are nanoscale additives in clothes. Clothes that never wrinkle, never stain, and even fold themselves. We even currently have a nanoscale 3D printer that is capable of producing miniature batteries less than 1 millimeter long. Nanotechnology is even being used to create new smart contact lenses. Contact lenses that'll bring augmented reality into everyday life. Also, drug delivery nanobots are right on the horizon. And there's so much more this technology can do. The technology that everyone needs to know about is nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is basically the...
What happens if someone can hack this technology? What happens if someone uses this technology for bad?
Developments is that nanoparticulate matter can be stabilized for distribution. If you're not aware of what nanoparticulate matter is, it's that matter which exists on a scale of 1 × 10⁹ Very, very small. Smaller than a cell. And we can manufacture materials that have discrete properties that can be controlled by virtue of bioengineering and their physical chemistry. To auto-aggregate, to be able to aggregate in particular areas based upon their biological and or chemical sensitivity. But now we go one step further. Most recently, just a few weeks ago, it was announced that you could then aerosolize nanomaterials. And go one step further, I can create small robotic units, controllable robotic units at the nanoscale, and that these too can be aerosolized to create a nanoswarm of biopenetrable materials that you cannot see, that can penetrate all but the most robust biochemical filters, that are able to integrate themselves through a variety of membranes, mucous membranes, and wherever, mouth, nose, ears, eyes, can be then uptaken into the vascular system to create clumping, can affect the vascular system of the brain, or can directly diffuse into the brain space, and these can be weaponized. And they can be done in such a level that their presence is almost impossible to detect, and as such, the attribution becomes exceedingly difficult to demonstrate. How much of this material would I need? Take a look. This is the front of my pen. This amount of nanomaterial, if be able to maintain and sustain with regard to its deliverability and aerosolization, could in fact affect all of you, or based upon where I come from, New York City, all yous. Look at this. Look at this. I'm carrying that material. Would you see it? Would I have to lug a giant weapon into the room? No, I wouldn't. And what if, in fact, I utilized some form of an unmanned aerial device or unmanned ground device as a delivery vehicle? Something like a drone or a bug. Could I do something with that? But let's keep going. Could I also utilize a whole host of devices to be able to affect individuals close in, for example, during interrogations, during social engagements, during human terrain team engagements, or more remotely, in a room, in a theater, in an airplane, in a bus, in a store, in a mall? The answer is increasingly yes. So this then represents for us both a challenge and an opportunity. The challenge is that increasingly what we find is that neuroscience and technology is relatively easy to obtain. Many of the things that I've just spoken to you about are viable and obtainable directly to the consumer or directly to the scientist. We also know that many of the products that are available direct to consumer can be easily modified to create things that have a much higher weaponization potential.
We're going to need anti-nanoparticles. That's what it sounds like to me. Who's creating anti-nanoparticles? We need something to combat this, don't we? Your thoughts below.
It's a project first dreamed up by the military to get information from the battlefield.
They call it Smart Dust, and the new technology may soon make it possible to keep track of anything, anywhere, including you.
Smart Dust originated with DARPA back in the 90s. This powder-sized chip is something called the Mu chip from Hitachi. It's the smallest commercially available RFID system in the world. You can literally scatter this stuff like dust or embed it into a sheet of paper. It doesn't require a battery. Flecks of computing power settling on your skin, ingested, monitoring you inside and out.
The nanoparticles are designed to go under the radar of the immune system, and so they are undetected in the body.
We have computing everywhere, we have connectivity everywhere, we have infrastructure that can compute those with new capabilities like AI.
If you have enough data and you have enough computing power, you can understand people better than they understand themselves, and then you can manipulate them in ways which were previously impossible.
Transhumanism is a growing movement that aims to use technology to modify our bodies, sometimes in radical ways to make them stronger, faster, and better.
They putting Smart Dust in the cola. I'm telling you, man, they're gonna hit a switch, and the people that ain't drinking cola, it's gonna be Terminator all over again, man. Come on, y'all.
Absolutely. Let's discuss what exactly CRISPR is and why it's such a big deal. CRISPR actually stands for Clustered Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats. And that's kind of a lot. That's why people just call it CRISPR. But CRISPR itself, it's actually just DNA. And it says it in the name, they are short repeats of little sequences of DNA. But who cares? Well, bacteria do. Just like us, and pretty much every other living thing, bacteria get viruses. There's a specific kind of viruses that bacteria get, they look really cool, and they're called bacteriophages. These crazy looking spider viruses will attach onto bacteria and actually insert their DNA into the genome of the bacteria. Which is great for the viruses because all of a sudden the bacteria reads its own DNA and is like, oh, look at this. I need to make more viruses. Obviously, this is not good for the bacteria because what ends up happening is those viruses pile up in the cell until the cell breaks open, spewing viruses everywhere. So the bacteria have come up with their own defense against bacteriophages. It's pretty difficult for bacteria to fight off the actual attacking virus, but something they can go after is the DNA that it puts in its own genome. Bacteria create these special kinds of proteins called Cases. You're probably familiar with Cas9, but there's actually a bunch of them. These proteins are able to learn parts of the DNA sequence that the virus is inserting. It's similar to our own immunity, how we take vaccines, because it prepares us for viruses coming in the future. Let's say a bacteria gets some sort of bacteriophage virus, and now it's infected with the DNA from that virus. These Cas proteins will identify sections of this new DNA and commit it to memory, so that next time the virus attacks, the bacteria can defend itself. There are tons of naturally occurring variants of these Cas proteins, and in labs scientists are making even more, but essentially they work like this. The virus will insert its DNA into the bacteria, and these proteins that have been trained to pick up that exact sequence will be like, hey, there's DNA here, we gotta go attack. So these proteins latch onto the invading DNA and cut it up into a bunch of pieces, rendering it entirely useless. The fact that Cas proteins can not only cut DNA up in different ways, but can also attach onto very specific sequences is what geneticists are exploiting. Scientists are taking these Cas proteins and figuring out how to not only make them in the lab, but also change the actual sequences that they attack. So this started off with being able to cut DNA and maybe change one nucleotide. But this has been going on for years, and research has gone very far. There's now a specifically engineered kind of Cas protein called a prime editor, which can not only cut DNA wherever it really wants, but it can insert new genes. You can see why this is a big deal, because up until now, editing genomes has been extremely difficult and not very precise. And now all of a sudden, it's just a matter of improving these biological processes meant for bacteria onto pretty much any organism we want, including ourselves. There are already FDA-approved drugs working in patients right now that rely on CRISPR. And the way a lot of this works is they will take stem cells out of a patient with a certain disease, take them to the lab, change the genome so that it's now working or functional or whatever the issue was, and put that back in the patient. And as I've discussed, the applications go way beyond just the medical field. You can use this in agriculture, aquaculture, pretty much anywhere where there's biological life. Imagine being able to look at the genome of an animal, decide what it is about that animal you want to change, and then literally going and doing it. Not only is that possible, but we're doing it right now. Welcome to the world of CRISPR. Absolutely, let's discuss what exactly...
Did you guys hear that? Prime editor allows them to cut DNA and add it as they wish. Oh my God.
But CRISPR is different. CRISPR is not adding genes, it's actually changing your genetic makeup permanently. But it works in humans. You can correct sickle cell anemia and fix that. That one's a little easier because it's in the bloodstream. Trying to fix Alzheimer's with CRISPR is going to be a lot more challenging. The blood is easy to access. And so I would say in the next 5 years, it'll be fairly common to fix genetic diseases with CRISPR. And then things get really interesting when we start to fix things that aren't genetic. Maybe we want to all fix our predisposition to diabetes. We could potentially go in and fix that before we actually get that disease and make up for not having great genetic lineages.
If you put a time horizon on that, what would you think something like that would be?
Well, probably for the healthy people, it's going to take longer, right? Doctors would rather do no harm than do good. And so that's probably 15 years away from being mainstream. And the way we do it is we put a CRISPR system, which is an enzyme that you can direct to change the DNA with a barcode. So our DNA has different letters. There's 6 feet of this DNA molecule in every cell, and there are these 4 letters, A, C, T, G, and they're in different sequence. And what CRISPR does that's kind of incredible, if you think about it, is that you can give it a code that says, go find the sequence that's A, T, G, C, A, G, C, and it'll find it in billions of combinations in that 6 foot and go in and just change that.
Incredible.
It is. It's a barcode. But CRISPR...
They keep throwing this crunchy chicken. Listen to that crunch. I'm just trying to find CRISPR. Oh my God.
Okay, y'all, I just blew my nose and I'm looking at it under the microscope. And
this. I spotted this. I'm like, okay, this is on a slide with nothing on it under dark field. And watch what happens when I try to focus it. Sorry, I'm having to hold this with my hand. I don't know what the heck they're trying to get in us, but and I haven't had the jab either, so I don't know what the heck that is. Anybody got any ideas? Okay, y'all,
They got you. They put a Snow Globe 2000 in you. CRISPR edition nanoparticle. I'm sorry.
When we look into the past, there's a clear record of people who have lived a much longer lifespan than what we have today. We have to wonder if these beings weren't given or had access to some type of nanotechnology that fuels the idea and understanding and our drive today to be like the gods.
And this important nanotechnology is something that extraterrestrials and other advanced civilizations would already have. And it would only make sense that if extraterrestrials are coming to our planet, they would have brought this nanotechnology with them.
When we look into the past, there's a clear record of people who have lived a much longer lifespan.
I'm thinking it was the trees, the energy levels, the oxygen, you know? But I'm not doubting that they had the same nanotechnology back in the day. Because with the Tower of Babel, however you say it, being an ancient quantum computer, anything's possible if you ask me. And there's nothing new under the sun. So, with those two in mind, it's definitely possible they had nanoparticles back in the day. Nanotechnology, I mean. Your guys' thoughts below on that. Please, we need to talk about this.
Today I am testing Pepsi on my microscope. So we're just going to do one drop and let's see if there's anything in it, because we know that Coca-Cola there is. So I've just put Pepsi Max under my microscope because I know that Coca-Cola has got nanorobots in, and I've left it only for about 10 minutes. And look at this. Look at this structure that's built. I mean, it's only been on my microscope a very, very short time, and this is building all over the slide. I mean, this is insane. So it's all over the slide. You can see the product. You can see the product in the back, the brown product that I put on the slide. But look, this is built everywhere. They're highly lit, and these look like networks already building. Today I am testing.
Hey, I would not be drinking any Pepsi or Cola if I was y'all, man. I'm just saying. I know, McDonald's Coke hits, you know. I love it too, man, with the double fish sandwich, no tartar sauce or lettuce, you know, just plain cheese. I love it. I might eat one in the future, and I might get a Coke with it, but you gotta fight it, y'all. Y'all gotta fight the temptation. It's so good because them nanobots is latching on to our taste buds. Like, yeah, you like this, don't you? Oh my God, we're doomed. You know, yeah, it seems good. There's a lot of helpful things that it can do, but in the wrong hands, what can this really do?
Coca-Cola just signed a 5-year, $1.1 billion deal with Microsoft. 5 years ago, it was discovered that there were fluorescent nanoparticles in Coca-Cola. Now, if I were a conspiracy theorist, I might think there were more to this partnership.
Hey, y'all, Bill Gates is
He is out of control, man. Just keep going and going and going and going. Damn, Bill, like, you don't know when to stop, do you? Like, man, can you believe they found nanoparticles in Coca-Cola? Like, Bill Gates, AI, Coca-Cola teaming up. Oh, y'all don't believe me? Watch this.
If you're a soda drinker, you may want to pay attention because you may not be drinking it after you watch this clip.
Now, according to reports, Microsoft and the Coca-Cola Company have announced a 5-year strategic partnership to align Coca-Cola's core technology strategy system-wide. So it is said to enable the adoption of leading-edge technology and foster innovation and productivity globally. Using Azure OpenAI service, Coca-Cola is currently exploring the use of generative AI-powered digital assistants. Now, did you know they have found nanotechnology in Coca-Cola and in Pepsi products? Have a look at this.
Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The biodistribution study in major organs indicated that the NPs were easily accumulated in the digestive tract, and they were able to cross the blood-brain barrier and dispersed into the brain.
I mean, it's like, did they even ask anybody's permission if we want to drink nanoparticles? It's like, they need to do a whole new, you know, what's that thing called on the back of you drink something? Where is it at? The nutrition facts. If you got the nutrition facts on that, pretty soon they got to add another line. How many nanoparticles is inside this product? That they need to add that to the new, you know, nutrition sheet, man. The whole thing needs a whole new makeover. You know, they need to be completely transparent on this, if we're drinking nanoparticles or not, man. Let me know your thoughts below on that. We're diving in this one.
We're looking at a cell-sized micro-robot. These micro-robots, made of electronic circuits coupled to minute particles, are so small that they can swim in between blood vessels. Researchers at MIT have created what may be the smallest robots yet. These bots can sense their environment, store data, and even carry out computational tasks. These robots, which are about the size of a human egg cell, consist of tiny electronic circuits that have been 3D printed and react to electronic or magnetic signals. These tiny robots are self-powered and require no external power source or even internal batteries. They can be guided into areas of the body that standard drugs cannot reach, adding a whole new level to drug delivery systems. It may be possible now using this delivery method to bring drugs past the blood-brain barrier. Follow me for more info like this. Are so small that they can swim in between blood vessels.
What does that remind you of? What does this little squiggly thing remind you of? Has anyone seen The Matrix? Let me show you. Let me find it real quick and show you guys. You don't believe me. Doesn't those little nanoparticles remind you of these? Come on, y'all. Those things, this is just their final form, if you ask me. Look at those. Just squirming, doing the exact same movement that these are doing.
Researchers at MIT.
Look, they move identical. The Matrix Sentinels. Humanity was fighting for their life. Remember when they was in the machine guns, shooting them off? You know, they was coming at them by the millions. Damn, did you see that? Oh my God. I don't speak Spanish, but you get the idea. They put it under a microscope. Lord.
Herb Gotti, you might already know this. Oh, Coca-Cola Company and Microsoft announces 5-year strategic partnership to accelerate cloud and generative AI initiatives. I love it. 2 mega corporations merging together like Voltron for the betterment of society and humanity. And just in case you forgot, they own a lot more than just sports drinks. We got Coca-Cola, Sprite, Fanta, coffee, tea, water.
I can't tell if this dude is being sarcastic or if he is actually excited for this. He's like, just put the nanoparticles in my body. It'll charge me up like Superman.
Sports, Dasani, Smart, Vitamin Water, Body Armor, Powerade, dairy and plant-based beverages, Minute Maid. I mean, the list goes on, right? Time to get some carbonated beverages. Go pull up a study, you idiot.
He had me fooled. I thought he was going with it.
You don't think that... Nah. Herb got you out. And you be wondering why I detox? This was totally for entertainment purposes only.
Yo, have you heard? The company that Bill Gates first started, Microsoft, has gone into partnership for a $1.1 billion 5-year deal with Coca-Cola. Allegedly, the agreement reflects a significant...
We got mugs in the UK, everyone all over the world, Spanish, UK, Egypt, we all in agreement that, hey, this is not right. Internationally, we do not support this.
In the digestive tract. And they were able to cross the blood-brain barrier and dispersed into the brain. Questions?
Guys, I know we keep hearing that, but it's critical that y'all understand this. Them things is going directly to your brain. Latching on, these sentinels latching on, and they controlling moving stuff like plankton that was inside SpongeBob's brain that one episode.
Hey, y'all like these? Check this out. I'm gonna show y'all something, but you gotta do a little reading in between the lines, alright? Coca-Cola Company and Microsoft announced 5-year strategic partnership to accelerate cloud and generative AI initiative. As part of the partnership, Coca-Cola has made a $1.1 billion commitment to the Microsoft Cloud and its generative AI capabilities. And these right here are allegedly what's in that. Some people might just be switching to Pepsi. Maybe they should stick to just making drinks, and they should stick to what it is that they do. Hey, y'all like these?
I don't trust neither one of them. I mean, I love a good root beer, but man, it's about maybe time we start making our own. How hard would it be to make our own root beer? I wonder.
My name is John, also Cheese. I do cocktail creation and cooking, and we're working on some root beer, homemade, with my bark, and we're gonna bite at it. We start with whole cloves, a totally on-purpose amount of juniper berries, and a few star anise, 2 whole nutmegs worth of grating, whole cardamom flower, birch bark for the bite, and sassafras, the main flavor of root beer, from the roots of the tree itself. Once we have measured it all, we add it to a dry pot and toast until it's aromatic. Adding water deglaces the pot and stops cooking the spices, and we heat it until it's simmering. Once hot, we add in the same amount of sugar. It might seem like a lot, but this is the base flavor balance. Bring it back to a simmer, turn off the heat, and cover it. Let it sit for 20 minutes to steep it, and strain it out. You can half or even quarter the measurements for home use. A little bit of the syrup and lemon juice plus soda water is all we need. Top it with ice, and you have root beer you made for yourself. Pretty awesome. My name is John, also Cheese. I
wonder how good that is, homemade root beer. Has any of you guys tried this? Because we can't be getting these nanoparticles in us, man.
Well then, let's start off making a root beer syrup. Most of these ingredients you'll have at home, be able to order off of Amazon, or could even forage out of the wild. Burdock root grows wild throughout most of the United States, and sassafras can be found pretty much anywhere east of the Great Plains. Both of these roots have great health benefits, despite sassafras' controversial history. Interestingly, burdock root is mildly antibacterial, not in that it kills bacteria, but it prevents bacterial biofilms from forming, which is where tooth cavities come from. Now, there aren't any studies that I'm aware of, but how cool would it be to say that root beer fights cavities, even with all this sugar?
Our hot take is that root beer just tastes better when you brew it yourself, so here's how it's done the old-fashioned way. It all begins with a homemade syrup. First, steep the botanicals. There's sarsaparilla, ginger, cinnamon, and more. Then set that aside. Caramelize some demerara sugar. This does require a little patience and is an optional step, but it adds so much depth that we really recommend it. Once caramelized, set that aside. Bring your botanical tea to a simmer. Add salt, malted dextrin, the remaining demerara sugar, and that caramel. You can already see the frothy, creamy goodness coming together in the pot. After boiling, let cool, add vanilla, and now you have 32 ounces of root beer syrup. Stay tuned for part 2.
My question is, if this is how they used to make root beer back in the day, then why are they trying to add nanoparticles and do all this extra stuff to the root beer or pop that they're doing now, or soda to all my people down south? What is the object? What is the goal? What are they trying to do with these nanoparticles? Y'all tell me. It seems like mind control, if you ask me. If I had to give you one answer, mind control. They trying to mind control people.
How to brew root beer, part 2. Now that we've made the syrup, it's time to carbonate. You can use 2 methods. Remove the cap from 1 or 2. How to brew root beer, part 2. Now that we've made the syrup, it's time to carbonate. You can use 2 methods. Remove the cap from 1 or 2 clean plastic 2-liter bottles. Add half of your root beer syrup and top with water, leaving 3 inches of headspace. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of yeast to each bottle and install a specialty cap. Let yeast convert those sugars into CO2 for 12 to 24 hours. And once the bottles are hard, like a store-bought 2-liter, refrigerate to slow down the yeast. If you want to enjoy your root beer immediately, just add seltzer. Start with 1 part syrup to 2 parts seltzer and then adjust to your taste. Store the syrup in the fridge and reach for it anytime you want to pour a frothy mug of root beer. Delicious on its own and even better as a root beer float.
That does look good, y'all. To all my Coke drinkers and Pepsi drinkers, let's see if we can find one for y'all to do it the natural way, because you don't want these nanoparticles inside you.
Husband mentioned that he was craving Coca-Cola the other day, and since we were out of soda, I decided to make him some today. I started by making my caramel sugar by combining some water and sugar, letting that come to the hard crack stage before pouring it out and letting it cool. Once it was all cooled down, I broke it up and set it aside and moved on to zesting my citrus. I started by zesting some oranges, some lemon, and lastly, I also zested some lime. I moved on to grinding up all of my spices. I started by combining some nutmeg, cinnamon, some vanilla, coriander seeds, rose hips, some lime leaves, and some cola nut. Before grinding that into a fine powder, I combined the last round of ingredients, which were some water with different sugars, the citrus that we zested earlier, and we can't forget about our citric and malic acid, and also the caramel sugar we made earlier. I set that into a water bath and let that all come together for about an hour and a half on the stove before straining it through a fine mesh strainer. I popped that in the fridge until it was cold, and then it was time to have our soda. I combined some cola syrup with sparkling water, and this tasted exactly like Coke. And when I made Lucky a glass, he was so impressed that he had to have another glass after. My husband mentioned that he...
Where's the carbonation at? Like, that thing looked it flat, low key. I'm not hating. I'm glad we're looking at healthy alternatives. But if you ask me, that looked a little flat. You know, we need that kick to it. You know, after you drink it, you hit that. You know, if you don't drink a pop or a soda, you don't hit that. Afterwards, is it really pop or soda? I'm just saying. Hey, it looked good, though. Now let's dive back on these disturbing theories of these nanoparticles, man. Creepy stuff.
This is a nanobot carrying an immobile sperm cell directly to an egg for a fertility treatment. I cannot believe my eyes. The thing is though, nanobot technology has advanced massively in recent years, and that's just one of their many applications now. You see, these nanobots are around 100 times smaller than a human cell, and they even have little motors that they can control to move around as they please. They can sense their environment, connect with each other wirelessly, deliver drugs to their target area, and store all of that on their onboard memory. There's some studies showing that they can diagnose cancer cells early and even search and destroy them using some of their onboard equipment. It can also act to support our immune systems to make sure that invading cells like viruses and bacteria don't get to where they want to be. Of course, people have some concerns about the implications injecting tiny robots will have on our bodies, as essentially the person who manufactures them could program them to do pretty much whatever they like. Would you let the nanobots in? Let us know in the comments. This is a nanobot carrying an immobile sperm cell directly to an egg for
Bro literally got carried. That's ridiculous. Would you guys put nanoparticles for some type of health condition? Let me know in the thoughts below. Me, definitely not. Gotta keep it organic.
Solar panels as thin as paper and as flexible as fabric that could be applied to many different surfaces and used in a wide variety of applications could be available soon thanks to a new approach to manufacturing solar cells being developed at MIT. A team of researchers out of MIT's One Lab have engineered ultralight, flexible, thin film solar cells that weigh about 100 times less than conventional solar panels and generate about 18 times more power per kilogram. The solar cells are entirely printable using ink-based materials and scalable fabrication techniques, so making them as fast and easy to deploy. To create a solar cell, the researchers coat a stack of nanomaterials in the form of electronic inks onto a prepared peelable substrate. Then, using simple screen printing techniques, an electrode which collects the generated power is added to the top of the solar cell. The solar cell can be peeled off the substrate and then laminated onto a variety of materials. Solar panels as thin as paper and as flexible as...
We need that. They need to put that on every house since we can't get free since we can't get free ether electricity, since we can't harness the ether anymore. We need this. They need to put that on every single roof. That should be prerequisite to every slab of roofing. You know, that should definitely be integrated more.
This sort of nanotechnology to target drugs. So if we attach a specific drug to the nanoparticles here, we could put it in the entire body and it would all be dilute. But if we target an organ with a strong magnetic field, we can actually cause all of the drugs to go.
So if we attach a specific drug to the nanoparticles here, we could put it in the entire body.
This sort of nanotechnology to target drugs. So if we attach a specific drug to the nanoparticles here, this sort of nanotechnology.
So we have a package of meat from the co-op for our supper tonight, and Brian has made a discovery with a magnet. Explain that. Why is our meat magnetized? So we have...
You should be never buying seasoned meat to begin with. Like, they use like the old meat, I believe, to season it, and the seasons ain't the best. You want to do all your own seasoning, man. These people don't know how to cook.
What is that? Maybe we should ask him.
Skeletor!
I'd say he's more like Skeletech.
Skeletech?
I didn't know they came out with a new He-Man. Skeletech on one, ain't he? Truth in plain sight. They gotta show us before they do it. Might as well call Bill Gates the Skeletech now. it just baffles my mind. How can they even build something this small that can do something? It's not like someone sitting there with two tweezers, putting the pieces together. That it's impossible. Like, how are they even building nanotechnology?
This nano-injector is used to deliver genes into living cells, and it's advancing gene therapy and genetic engineering. The nano-injector lens is about 100th the size of a human hair. But how does it work? DNA is negatively charged, and the lens of the nano-injector is positively charged. And because of this attraction between the lens and DNA, DNA is picked by the needle, and it's delivered into the living cell without damaging it. Scientists are using this nano-injector to create transgenic animals. These are animals that have been genetically engineered to have genes from multiple sources, and they can be very helpful for studying diseases and drug testing. This nano-injector is used to deliver...
Is this fallen angel tech? Is this the technology they used to create their own animals back in the day? This is getting a little bit disturbing and weird now.
Guys, reflection. Your genetics are being controlled through nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is a branch of science and a genetic engineering tool devoted to manipulating atoms and molecules on a nanoscale level. But you might be asking, why is this important? The reason being is because, like Chief teaches us, on a microscopic level, the 50 trillions of cells that make up our bodies essentially consist and are made up of molecules and atoms. See, look, reflection. Science uses nanotechnology like CRISPR to modify genetic structures of the food that's on the shelves in the grocery store. They do this so that they can last longer in the store. You see the ordinary tomato? It got rotten fast. Fruit or vegetables shouldn't be lasting 2 months in the grocery store. Look at this one right here, the Flavor Saver tomato or tomato. This one right here has been used with CRISPR. The genes has been edited in this fruit so it lasts longer on the shelf. Now the problem with the method that science is using today, reflection, is that when you alter the DNA of the food that we intake, you actually change the molecular composition of it, causing it to no longer be organic, but actually a synthesized version of what it once was. So like Chief teaches us, when it comes to human beings intaking GMO foods or GMO beverages, what you are actually doing is altering the DNA or the mind of the being. And like the Most High Chief Babaji teaches us, DNA is the molecular blueprint for all living things, or the mind of God. And you are God. Once the DNA or your mind receives inorganic information for what you put inside your body, you alter your genetic makeup or your God body genes. You become one with that.
Y'all kill me with "We Are Gods," man. He was spitting and then he had to go throw that. I should have known by that damn chain. Y'all kill me with that "We Are Gods" stuff, man. Y'all gotta stop it, man. I get it, man. Like, we are very important, but we didn't create the earth or the moon or the sun. Until y'all make one of those, then tell me you God. But that will never happen. Repent. But I'm gonna let him finish though, man.
That misinformation inevitably leading to your mind or your thoughts being altered and your behavior not being the same no more. And we know that you are what you eat. And scientists like Dr. Bruce Lipton reminds us that modified microRNAs received through GMO foods doesn't get digested to be released through fecal matter. Those microRNAs or nanotechnology is actually indestructible. You can't freeze it out of food, you can't boil it out of food, or you can't cook it out of food. That genetic material is actually picked up by your gut and translated into your bloodstream and alters every piece of DNA inside every cell in your body. Hold on though. Not only that though, CRISPR or nanotechnology is actually being used in gene editing to make designer babies, to make new human beings. You gotta understand, reflection, everything in our environment is being genetically manipulated for it to be able to sustain an artificial environment. Pay attention, God. We at genetic warfare right now, man. Reflect the light from the Most High Chief Babaji. I love myself. Peace to the gods.
Bro said I love myself, man. It kills me because these brothers be so intelligent, but it's just like, man, they can't accept that our Father died for our sins, man. They'll say anything but that, man. It's just, I don't get it, man. How could brothers be so intelligent but skip that vital flaw? You know what I'm saying? You seen what he said to Nicodemus. You know, the most intelligent, scholar that hit him with that, He wasn't impressed at all. You know what I'm saying? But he dropped a lot of good points, man. But that's why we keep our head on a straight swivel as soon as people start talking that guys and goddesses, you know, the Ashe and all that. Man, y'all can miss me with all that, man. I'll be the first to tell y'all. We all must decrease so he can increase. You know, you know.
Moderna says that their mRNA technology is the, quote, software of life. What exactly are they talking about?
Well, again, we are not using a normal way of making a vaccine. We are putting a code inside of you. It's recombinant, part from nature and part synthetic, synthesized. And so it's a genetic code, and what they're doing is putting an envelope around it with nanolipid particles. It's nanotechnology. The nanotechnology is there to ensure it sneaks past your body's defenses, because normally your body would kill something like this immediately or disintegrate it. So it sneaks past the defenses into your cell and then tricks your cell into making that code, which is literally the spike protein or part of the virus. You'll be spitting out bits of the virus inside of your body.
This might be the closest thing in existence to a real nanobot. This is an article from Interesting Engineering saying this tiny robot can swim in your bloodstream and conduct cell analysis. And they have this little artist rendition of it that is a representative image, because the actual robot itself is a very small little cluster of atoms that's, you would think, couldn't even be robotic, but it does a number of very impressive things. So inside your bloodstream, it can, if I can find the list here, it can navigate through the cell sample, differentiating between cell types and determining if a cell is healthy or damaged. Additionally, the micro robot is programmed to transport a specific cell for further genetic analysis or examination. It can transfect, or I guess inject, a drug and or gene into the captured cell and do a variety of helpful things, it seems, about the size of a cell. So it's not a true nanobot. Those would be much smaller than cells. But it's a really tiny robot that can get in your body and very specifically target individual cells. On top of that, the robot can act autonomously, or it can act under the control of a human operator, which I have no idea how any of this works, and I wish they had pictures and video, but they don't. But it looks very cool, and I think that in the near future, if you could have maybe hundreds of these in your bloodstream, then we could do some very impressive biological engineering, so to speak, or at least combat old diseases in new ways.
Hello out there. I'd like to show what I learned yesterday about these numbers again. They won't leave me alone. All right, we got 0, 9, 18, 27, 36. All I did was added 9s to these. 36, 45, 54, 63.
Hold on. I'm stopping them right here, because y'all know what I always say. Dark Waters 9. I didn't say Dark Waters 2. I didn't say Dark Waters 3. I say Dark Waters 9. So let me see what this is saying.
72, 80, 190. And what I noticed was, if you start with a 0, you get 0, 1, 2, 3. I'm skipping numbers. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you start from the back. You get the same thing. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if this was some type of computer program or sequential program, it would just go back and forth like this, continually. So the first thing came to my mind was a scripture in the Bible, and this is in the book of Enoch, 24th chapter, and it reads, Enoch is talking about, well, this is the Most High talking to Enoch, and he's talking about the way things were before anything was created. It says, for before all things were visible, I alone used to go about in the invisible things, like the sun, from east to west and from west to east. Notice that, east to west and from west to east. Look, it's like this. Now, I'm not telling you that
the quantum realm. If you ask me, the quantum realm we cannot see or prove, but we know it's there. Well, we can prove it doing the split helix test, but that's for another video.
Told me this is what he's doing, but I find it kind of strange how when you line these numbers up with the number 9, because 9 is like the holiest number out there, and when you do that, it sequences itself like this, east to west and from west to east. Let me show you what else I learned. the numbers on each side of the 4 and the 5 actually complements each other in order to make 90. Let me give you an example. 90 and 0 is 90.
And look, tell me what this looks like. A menorah. I think that's what it's called, right? I don't know how to spell it. What's it called? Hanukkah? Menorah. Look at that. I believe this is the only holiday you really supposed to celebrate is Hanukkah. Like Christmas, Halloween, all that is, I ain't gonna get into it, man, because you know, I hate to admit it, but it's a lot of fun. Halloween, Christmas, the lights, the ice sculptures, the cooking. I know it's pagan, but this is Hanukkah is literally the only one that you really supposed to be celebrating. And look what he just did. Wow. Tell me this isn't a menorah. From the number 9, from east to west. I didn't know this, y'all. Something just spoke to me. Dark Waters 9. Think about it. Dark Waters. We putting a light into all this darkness, y'all. Because I'm going to keep it real with y'all in every single video. The new spirituality, when they start gatekeeping, I'm going to keep it real with y'all. Y'all know me. Y'all be on these waters with me daily. So think about it. Dark Waters 9. Damn, that makes sense, y'all. I didn't even know this.
81 and 9, 90. 72, 18, 90. 63, 27, 90. 54, 36, 90. And the 4 and the 5, that's 9, of course. I thought that was pretty strange, too. And here's a really good one. The numbers on this side are actually backwards from these numbers, or they're turned around. For instance, if you circle these numbers, you get a 0 and a 9 here, but you got 90 over here. You get 18 here, and you got 81. It's like the numbers are backwards. 27 is actually 72. 36 is 63. And 45 is 54. That's strange. And look at this. Look at this. If you take the 55, you're starting in the middle, 55, and then 44, you got 66, 33, 77, 22, 88. Then you got 11, 1 and 1. Then you got 99 and 0 and 0. So it looks like this. 55, 44, 66, 33, and so on. Alright, look at these two. 99, 54, 55 and 44, 99. 66, 33, 99. 77, 22, 99. 88 and 11, 99. Then at the bottom, 99. Wow. And now here is a myth buster, because we all believed, I know I did, that 9 was the only number that you can multiply by other numbers, and it'll root out to the number 9 again. For instance, if you take 9 times 8, you get 72, and 72 is 9. Come to find out, if you take any of these numbers and do that with, it will root out to 9. For instance, let's take the 18. Get a calculator right here. Alright, so we take 18 and multiply it by, say, 56 equals 108, or 10,000, or 1008. So we take 18 multiplied by 65. Look what we get. That's 9. 7, 8, 9. 1170 is 9. Let's take another number. Let's say 27. 27 times 69 equals, look at this, 6 and 3 is 9, 8 and 1 is 9, 9 and 9 is 18, 1 and 8 is 9, same thing. Let's take the 36. 36 times 23 equals 828 8 and 8 is 16 plus 2 is 18. 1 and 8 again is 9. Let's take the 45. 45 times 92. I'm just coming up with random numbers. 414. Well, 4140. 4 and 4 is 8 plus 1, 9. So all these numbers you can multiply by any other number and they will all root out to 9. And we all thought that the number 9 was the only number that could do that. So I'm going to leave that at that. Tell me what you think. God bless you. Have a great night or day.
The crazy part about that, he didn't even mention the menorah. From Hanukkah, you know that dreidel, dreidel, my little dreidel. I don't even know how the song go, man. I gotta get in touch with my roots. That's all we got for this disturbing video today and creepy theories. If you made it this far, be sure to drop 2024 in the comments below. Let me know you made it all the way. And I'll see you guys next time with some more creepy and disturbing TikToks on Dark Waters 9.